If you've ever been on the edge of your seat all Sunday for a round at the Masters, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Monday, April 14th. We have a truncated week this week. So last week we had a crazy week. This week it is a 4-day week because Friday is Good Friday and the market is closed. There won't be a show and all of that. So we got 4 days to make our money here this week. We had some back and forth news over the weekend. Surprise, surprise, about tariffs. I didn't spend too much mental energy on that over the weekend, but here we are getting ready to break down everything here today. We're going to take a look at the SPY, everything else that's going on. We got some bank earnings coming up. Full slate to go. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Monday, April 14th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. And you guessed it, we have a new Grand Slam champion, the sixth golfer ever to win the Grand Slam. I gotta say, Sunday was just an amazing day. This entire weekend was great, but Sunday was absolutely incredible. Happy for everyone that participated in that and everyone that enjoyed that. It was something else. Now, here we go. Back to reality, back to markets. We have to break down everything that's going on. And as I said in the opener there, we actually have a 4-day week this week, truncated week. So first of all, let me know if you folks are going to hold risk going into the weekend. Not sure how I feel about that. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Happy Monday, man. You were the first to say good morning on this Monday. Well done. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Ivan, went to Greece. Doesn't matter. Still checking in here. Ivan, good morning. Good afternoon, probably where you're at. Hopefully the views are beautiful. Did you go to Santorini? I can't remember. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us. Pete, good morning. Welcome back. Asrar, good morning. Welcome back. Yassine, great to see you. Hey, how about the weather we're getting in Chicago? I think things are starting to turn, Yassine. Looking good. Charles, good morning. It's great to see you then. Allsorts, good morning. Rafat, good morning. Fairchild, locked in. Good morning, boss. Sun-kissed Yogi, back for some more. Good morning. Thoughts on how we're going to do this week? Do we break up or reject? We're going to take a look at the SPY chart here in a sec. I'm going to ask you, folks, what you think we do here. Brett, welcome back. Good to see you, man. Checking in. Day trader locked in early morning on the West Coast. Doesn't phase day trader. Get to the choppa. We got an Arnold fan here. Absolutely love it. Good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Quantum, good morning. Aaron, good morning. Bigga Bees, let's go. Let's go. Masters shortened week. I don't know if it's shortened because of the Masters, but it is a short week. We got some more stuff to do. JJ, it was awesome. Good morning, man. Topher, good morning. Welcome back. Jeff, good morning. Welcome back. Shido, good morning. Cam, good morning. Lion, good morning. And Go Steve, good morning. Go Steve says, actually traveling to Santorini next month. Go Steve, you are winning. You are winning. Sounds like May is going to be a hell of a month for you. Shadowed One, good morning. It's great to see you. All right, let's go ahead and start by taking a look at the charts. Then we'll break down the news. Then we'll take a look at all the other stuff that's going on, as well as charts that you folks want to take a look at here. Okay, we're going to start with SPY. So here we go. We're currently sitting, first of all, green arrows across the board here in the pre-market. So pre-market here pointing to a higher open. Really, whenever we get these green arrows in the pre-market, the next most important question to me is, can we hold this? We've seen a number of times where we actually have had some strength in the pre-market, only to sell off, in some cases to rebound later in the day. But I'm sure that's what we're going to be paying attention to here today. So looking at where we're at on the daily chart, you can see after the huge power candle, we are still inside that range, right? So this is we've had 2 sessions since then where both of the candles have stayed inside that range. The good news here is that they've actually stayed above that 15% pullback level, which is 521 and a quarter. Done a really good job kind of carving that out as a support. Now, if you remember too, a lot of the stuff that we talk about with Mark Petrino about there not being trading in certain areas, he's basically talking about gaps and areas like that. Well, look where we were. These last 2 days, we basically consolidated and cleaned up this gap here, and now we've resolved higher. So to answer the question here, the initial one that we got, the very direct question, Oh, you were asking about the IWM, Rafat. Sorry about that. Thoughts on IWM? You know what? We'll take a look at that chart too. Let me actually add that here to the list, and we'll make sure that we take a look at the IWM. But I'm going to take your question a little bit and change it here. Do we break up or break down on the SPY? Looking at the chart here, this chart tells me that we want to trade higher here, or at least we want to test higher here. Now, can we hold it? Can we break? We'll see. But it sure looks like that's what we want to do next here. Number one, I would imagine today that the big level that we want to take a look at here is going to be this 480.5. I've got it marked here, or it's got it printed here at 548.62. This is going to be your 20-day moving average. If we can get back above that and close above that, I really do think that makes for some pretty good potential upside here. Now, that is 8 points away, so I'm not sure if we get there today. We'll see if we end up doing, but that's going to be one of the levels that I'm looking at. Furthermore, looking ahead, if we continue to have some strength on a resolution to the upside here, don't forget we actually have a gap. Just like we had down here where we kind of consolidated and filled that gap, we have another slightly smaller gap right above that here in the candle from Thursday, April 3rd to Wednesday, April 2nd. Looks like this is about 545 up to 555. So a 10-point gap in there. Wouldn't be shocked if we get into that area, if we kind of consolidate a little bit like we did for the past two sessions in the last gap. Now, some other levels that would kind of come into play there is going to be the 10% pullback level. That's going to be 552. So a consolidation in there, remember, between 555 and 545. That 552 level's right in there. If we consolidate around that, that should actually set up the next move higher. Now, if we do not move higher, if we get another tape bomb, which is absolutely possible, in fact, we should probably expect some volatile headlines. Gotten plenty of them. It doesn't seem like it's going to slow down here. One of the things that we want to watch on the downside is, do we get close to the 521.25? That represents the 15% pullback level. Do we end up giving that up? Sure. We're going to be looking at the tops and the bottoms of these candles here, which are still inside the power candle. But again, if we continue to roll back over 521.25 and 510, which is represented by the 500-day moving average. These are going to be some spots to take a look at. Now, really quickly before I forget, let's pop over to the IWM chart and see what we have here. Now, I don't have as many of those levels marked off here on the IWM chart, but that's okay. We can still kind of take a look at this. So first of all, if you think that the market is going to rebound at all, then it would make sense that the small caps would kind of lead. I actually just saw Mike Wilson they had on CNBC earlier, and he was basically saying that we've been in a bear market since last year, which a lot of people don't really want to admit. They want to attribute everything to the tariffs so they can shake their fist and scream at the man. But the reality is that we've had some subpar performance in some stocks and indices going back to long before the tariffs were even talked about. Here's a look at the IWM. This is down 30% from the highs. So if you think the market is going to find any kind of footing and not really going to break down, it would make sense that the IWM would be one of those that lead higher here. This would be made especially true if we get any type of clarity on interest rate cuts, right? Some of these smaller stocks should do better in a lower interest rate environment. And if the market starts to sniff that out, you actually might be able to see performance or outperformance here in the IWM. Now, looking at this, couple of levels that really kind of jump off here right away, this 190 level. This was clearly a support level. It was also clearly a resistance level in the last couple of weeks, frankly. So we're, again, very much like the SPY. We're still holding inside the power candle, if you will, the big green candle that we had from last week. We're holding inside here. If IWM is going to show any type of strength, we really wanted to trade up this 6 points towards 190. If we're able to break out from 190, giddy up. Next spot higher here would be 192-ish. That'd be the top of this candle. Then we have another potential gap here from about 193 up to 197. The 200-day is up there at 196. Excuse me, the 20-day is up there at 196.66. So just about 197. And then you have your 500-day above that a little bit at 200. So really, this comes down to, is the market going to put in any of its footing? Are we going to come up with some support here? Remember, IWM down more than some of those other indices. So again, this might be the first to turn. And if lower interest rates are the cause of that, This is actually not a bad spot to look at here. Now, on the other side of this, first of all, we're also in no man's land here with the RSI and the Williams %R. So I'm not really sure that there's a conclusion that we can draw from that, at least not today. Some of the other, if we don't move higher here, if we end up like kind of rolling over here today on the SPY, I would imagine that would take small caps with it. One of the levels we really want to pay attention to here is 180. We've wicked beneath that level the past 2 days. Buyers remain strong enough to hold us above that level. But if we test that again and give it up and maybe close beneath it, you could probably take a look at 172, maybe 170 as your next level to the downside there on IWM. All right, there you go. Rafat, good stuff here on the IWM. I know we always take a look here at SPY, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to also take a look at IWM. Okay. We talked a little bit about the back and forth. Here, let me go to one of the, oh, you know what? We're going to start with the Benzinga Pro morning report. I actually just talked to the dev team last week. This is getting really close for being released to production. Of course, you can use it now by logging into the beta site, but we're going to push this to production here really soon. As you can see, green arrows across the board in the pre-market here. No IPOs to be made aware of, at least not yet. Have a couple of company events in here, but outside of the one that affects BTDR, not really sure how important these are going to be. Just kind of something to keep an eye on. If any of these stocks start moving, I'm sure we'll take a look at that. And then had a couple of things here. We're going to talk about earnings. We're going to talk about initiations. We'll go with the earnings here in a second. Did have some analyst initiations here. Needham with a buy on Apple and a price target to 225. Now, we're going to talk about Apple quite a bit here because Apple is strong this morning, given some of the tariff news that we got over the weekend. Also worth noting, Trade Desk. We get asked about this one a lot. Hey, has TTD found a bottom at all? Well, Trade Desk here today, buy rating from Needham, $84 price target there. PayPal, Bank of America's buy rating, $93 price target. We've talked about PayPal recently. I still didn't load up my long. I feel like I'm a little late on that. Kind of a bummer. Wells Fargo getting an overweight from Piper here in a $75 price target. We take a look at some upgrades. We did have Team get upgraded. Infosys got upgraded. And as far as the downgrades, the big one here, Hyatt Hotel. Goldman Sachs went to a sell on Hyatt with a 110 price target, and also Goldman Sachs neutral on Hilton, neutral on Marriott, and price target there 235 and 245 respectively. So it does seem like Goldman Sachs here thinking that the consumer, maybe they're tightening. They certainly might not be traveling or buying or staying in hotels enough. Okay. What is the symbol for the semiconductor ETF? SMH is, I believe, what you're looking for, Charles. SMH, that is going to be the semiconductor ETF that we've talked about quite a bit here, that we've looked at just to kind of get an idea of what semis are doing as a whole. By the way, right here under the 500, you're looking for a key level. Can we close above that 202.5? That would be something. Okay, let's dive into what's going on here. First thing, I wanted to start with some quotes here. Louis Navalier from Navalier and Associates, quote, given the severe selling in the stock market and the high trading volume, quote, it appears that much of the selling pressure is starting to be exhausted, end quote. Now, it does feel that way to me, but the one caveat that I want to say here is that this can change on a whim. So while I agree with Louis here, and it definitely feels that way, if we get enough tape bombs, the reality is that selling might start up again and not feel exhausted here. But for right now, it feels exhausted, and this kind of helps if the market's going to bounce here and fill any of those upside gaps. Quote, there is no doubt that there will be ripple effects from the Trump administration trade war with China. It is imperative that the velocity of money picks up if news breaks on tariffs diminishing and or the Fed cutting key interest rates. So again, we're going to have to keep our eyes on all of that stuff here. Amid the growing trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada, Goldman Sachs cuts its target for key Chinese stock index for the second time this month. According to Bloomberg, quote, U.S.-China trade tensions have soared to unprecedented levels, prompting concerns about a global recession and decoupling risks between the two largest economies globally. In other strategic cohorts, notably capital markets, technology, and geopolitics, end quote. A team led by Kinger Lau wrote in a note on Monday. Analysts reduced 12-month price targets for MSCI China Index from 275 from 81, and the CSI 300 Index to 4,300 from 4,500. So a little bit of a cut there, but nothing crazy, suggesting potential gains of 12% and 15% respectively based on Friday's closing prices. Wedbush Securities' Dan Ives, perhaps tech's biggest cheerleader. Dan Ives describes the exclusion of smartphones and chips from the China tariffs as, quote, the dream scenario, end quote, for tech investors, stating that it is, quote, a game changer, end quote. So Dan Ives going to throw around some of those big terms there. Again, I caution anyone to get too on one side of things. I definitely suspect us to see some back and forth. We are not out of the environment of tape bombs. That is for sure. Now, dive in a little bit more to what's going on here. Trump to unveil semiconductor tariff plan this week signals flexibility on tech exemptions. Now, I know exclusions, exemptions, those words are causing a lot of trouble, a little disturbance, to use the parlance of our time over the weekend. But again, I had advised that you just stay on the calm side, let it shake out here. This group's done an excellent job doing that recently. Anyway, President Trump said on Sunday that he would reveal the tariff rate on imported semiconductors in the coming week, suggesting that excluding smartphones and computers from reciprocal tariffs in China might be temporary. Trump, speaking aboard Air Force One, emphasized the desire to manufacture semiconductors domestically, according to reports by Reuters. He mentioned the need for flexibility in tariff application without confirming if certain products like smartphones would remain exempt. Again, this is why you're seeing Apple respond here in the pre-market. Apple's initial move in the pre-market here was up. It reversed course. Now it's going back up. So we should be entirely unsurprised to see this kind of volatility here. Earlier, Trump initiated a national security trade investigation into the semiconductors industry. His Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick indicated that critical technology products from China would face new duties within 2 months. The proposed tariffs have already impacted markets, with the S&P 500 index experiencing a significant volatility. Bill Ackman, billionaire investor, urged the Trump team to pause tariffs on China temporarily to avoid economic disruption. Critics, including Elizabeth Warren, has voiced concerns over the tariff strategy, citing potential economic harm. Meanwhile, Ray Dalio expressed fears of a recession if the situation isn't managed properly. The announcement follows recent decision by the Trump administration to grant a tariff reprieve on the tech industry, including companies like Apple and NVIDIA. Those are going to be your two biggest winners from that. The reprieve temporarily reduced the scope of levies on certain consumer electronics produced in China. Trump's aggressive tariff strategy has been a point of contention. Boy, you don't say. That might be the understatement of the morning here, but we'll go with it. Particularly after he threatened Taiwan Semiconductor with tariffs of up to 100% if they did not manufacture in the United States. This threat caused TSM shares to fall significantly. Remember, they also talked about investing in the United States and ramping up the production at the already built Arizona facility. Okay, so should we take here? You know what we're going to do before we go to the next news story? We're actually going to go back to the charts and we're going to take a look at that, because otherwise I might forget. All right. So here's your Apple chart here. You can see I actually spent some time thinking about, boy, this would be really great if we could get Apple at enough of a discount where it would make sense for a swing. I used the chart to try to tell me what that value was. That value was 155 to 165. Lo and behold, we never got that. We got really close, though, 169 and change, it looks like, on the actual low down print here. Since then, Apple has bounced considerably. Here we are at 210 this morning. So you'll notice right where we sit right now, and this was actually up in overnight trading. Futures opened up last night, green about 1% right out of the gate. I wasn't trading the overnight, but I watched it right out of the gate, and just like the Masters, there was green everywhere. So we'll see if that carries through here to the week. Now, looking at the move Apple is making, it is actually, we found over the last several sessions here, we found some pretty significant resistance at the 500-day. Apple's been involved in the back and forth Trump tariff trade war. Boy, that alliteration's tough. You try it. Apple's kind of found itself at the center of that. So it's unsurprising to see when you have a big piece of news come out, this is likely to be affected. Apple now here gapping over the 500 and gapping over the 20-day. We're actually in another upside gap that doesn't fill till 221. So your levels here today should be pretty clear. Can we hold the 20-day moving average down there at about 209? Do we fall back into this area above the 500-day? That's going to kind of end there at 201 on the downside. That's going to be your support for your 500-day. Do we actually start getting some closes above some of these moving averages to really kind of firm up this as support, or do we just kind of give that up here today? So Apple is going to be pretty important. I don't know that there's necessarily a trade out of the gate here. I almost think that you're going to be better off waiting to see where this thing closes. If you think that this bullishness is just going to continue today, or maybe there's going to be an exhaustion of some of this bullishness here today, I could see a little bit more upside here on Apple. Still long this from a long-term hold, so haven't added any new trade to this one so far. The other one mentioned there, the other stock mentioned there is going to be NVIDIA. This one's been very, very clear. I'll tell you what, our yellow parallel channel has been great going all the way back to last year. We breached the bottom of the channel, immediately bounced off the 500-day, back into the channel, went to the midpoint of the channel, and now it seems like we're trying to move higher. So your levels on NVIDIA, crystal clear here. If we continue to the upside, the next one here is going to be at 118.96. You want to call that 119? Be my guest. That's going to be your 50-day moving average here on NVIDIA. That is absolutely within range if we hold any type of bullishness here. The midpoint of this channel, I've got this at about 111. Current price here 114, so we're a couple of points above that as well. It did look like we took out the high of this candle. We did. High of the power candle. Oh, excuse me. No, we did not. The close of the high of the power candle was 115.10. We're not quite there. The body of the power candle, the high point of the body, was 114.33. We are actively trading above that level now. So watch for that 115 and 10, 115 and change level there on NVIDIA. If that breaks, I think we probably try to test this 50-day to the upside. If we roll back over, again, that the midpoint of the channel there is going to be about at 111, maybe 110 and change. And then I think if we break down here, probably 103 prior to getting to 100. We'll see if we end up getting any of those levels here on NVIDIA. The last stock that was mentioned in any of those stories is going to be TSM. And I'll be honest, I can't remember. I don't know why it's not loading up here. Was I typing the ticker in wrong? Anyway, I can't recall off the top of my head if this group trades TSM. I know that there's a lot of folks in here that trade Apple and NVIDIA quite a bit. I'm not sure if there's a part of the contingent here that trades TSM, but nonetheless, here's the chart. Clean bounce off of the 500-day. We also added this 134 level, which you can see goes back all the way to 2021 as a very significant key resistance area. Well, guess what? That's now acting as support, and it's acted as support a few times here. Back in 2024, in March of 2024, then also at the yen carry trade, it actually marked the support level there. And then recently, we actually broke through this 500-day, tested this level here, held 134, and since have bounced. So very much like Apple and NVIDIA, this does have some space to the upside here. We do have a gap up to 167 if we can clear that out. 164.5 has our 20-day moving average. Remember, though, on TSM here, we've death crossed recently. So is there more downside to go? Does it run into some resistance here? Do we get another tariff tape bomb that kind of shakes anything in Asia or any stocks that are headquartered in Asia? Your guess is as good as mine on that. Factor that into your trading plan. Make sure no matter what you do here that you have a plan for both of those. Okay? Make sure you have a plan for both of those. All right. Peter, you're asking about PRFX. That's a crummy little mover, right? We will take a look at that when we do some of the smaller stocks here added to the list, my man. All right. Where was I here? Oh yeah, we have to go to this. Okay, so here we go. So a little bit of and then Palantir's getting added there. We'll absolutely take a look at that as well. Sure. Okay. Next news story. This one might be one of my favorites here, just because of what we decided to focus on. Star Trek quoting Judge Boasberg. What a title. What a title. Star Trek quoting activist judge. Anyway, Star Trek quoting Judge Boasberg, once targeted by Trump, could decide if Mark Zuckerberg's Meta gets to keep Instagram. Oh boy, what's going on here? As the Federal Trade Commission prepares to face off against Meta Platforms in a landmark antitrust case, all eyes are on U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, a figure with a history of high-stakes ruling and headline-making decisions. On Monday, Boasberg will preside over a trial that could reshape the tech industry. The FTC has alleged that Meta used its acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp to cement an illegal social media monopoly. How many of you folks think Meta has too much of a social media monopoly? All jokes aside with the judge here, this has actually come up a number of times between people. I'm just wondering where people fall on this one. Let me know. I'm curious. If the agency succeeds, it could lead to the forced breakup of one of the world's most valuable companies, a $1.37 trillion corporate empire. A Meta spokesperson pushed back against the FTC's lawsuit, saying that it paints an inaccurate picture of Facebook as a monopoly while ignoring key rivals in the social media space. They underscored that Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp face strong competition from several other platforms like ByteDance's own TikTok, YouTube by Alphabet's Google, and Apple's iMessage. So real quick here, day trader saying 100% Zuck screwed up Instagram. Now, I'm going to take your word for that, day trader. I'll be honest with you. I have never really thought Instagram was a great social media site. I actually, for a while there, thought I was the boomer and I was the one that was wrong. Turns out if I had just waited a little bit, I'd have been okay. So I'll take your word for that. I never really understood Instagram. Not my favorite. And you know what? The other thing is here, there might be a personal bias on my side because I was so soured on Facebook from my own experiences in my real life that I might have kind of not given enough grace to something like Instagram or WhatsApp. I do use WhatsApp quite a bit. I find it very easy to use, very helpful. And to be honest with you, I don't even really associate it with Facebook or Meta or whatever he wants to call it there. But interesting opinion there to say that he screwed up Instagram. And you go on to say here, it can't be fixed. I was an OG user on Instagram in 2010. It was great before trying to compete with TikTok. Okay, that is also interesting context there, day trader. I really appreciate that. So that sounds familiar, right? The initial product in really good shape, something bigger and better comes along. Instagram says, well, we're going to try and compete. We're going to try and be better. And they end up not being better. In fact, they end up being worse. We've seen that. A fake book is the worst. Peter Smith, I agree. Meta has a monopoly. Iceman, 1,000% agree on the Meta monopoly. Okay, so you guys all in the same space here. Okay. Really interesting stuff there. They copied Snap there. Once Meta bought IG, they copied Snap with stories, then TikTok with Reels. So it basically looks like they're just trying to play catch up. Unsurprised. I appreciate that context there from the group. Thank you. Keep it coming, by the way. Anyway, on with the story here with what's going on. Boasberg, which is the judge, appointed by former President Barack Obama in 2011 and now chief judge of the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., is no stranger to politically charged cases. He has handled matters ranging from Donald Trump's era deportation policies to surveillance court rulings for high-profile disputes involving Hillary Clinton's emails and Trump's tax records. Boy, this guy loves to be in the lion's den, doesn't he? He loves it. Can't get enough of that. He has handled matters ranging from, sorry, I just read the same thing again. I apologize. Known for his sharp wit and cultural references. How about that? Boasberg once cited Star Trek in a ruling, writing, quote, "Resistance is futile," end quote, to dismiss a lawsuit brought by the Trump aide challenging the Jan 6 congressional investigation. How did that work out for you, Boasberg? LOL. We'll see what happens when that investigation comes out, too. That should be fun. He also ordered former Vice President Mike Pence to testify in the Trump election interference probe. and denied an attempt to access Trump's tax returns in 2017. Okay, so very clearly here, it looks like we're going to get some type of ruling from this judge, and he's no stranger to the spicy. So we'll see what that ruling ends up being. Looks like there's definitely a lot of, let's call it distrust here for Meta and its monopoly. Last month, Trump called for Boasberg's impeachment over rulings involving immigration and federal oversight. That led to a rare public defense from Chief Justice John Roberts and a Justice Department motion seeking to remove Boasberg from the case. So he's not going to get removed. He will sit on this one. During the same month, Boasberg also directed key agencies from the Trump administration to retain any signal messages exchanged between March 11th and March 15th. It'll be interesting to see if he follows up and does the same thing for the last administration, which used Signal judiciously. This order comes as part of a preservation of a lawsuit sparked by reports that top cabinet members were using encrypted messaging app Signal to discuss military strategies. Before his appointment to the federal branch, Boasberg served as a D.C. prosecutor and a local judge. Boasberg took on the role of a prosecutor in a theatrical production penned by former Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy, which reimagined Shakespeare's Hamlet as a courtroom drama. Can't see how that would come into play, but an interesting piece of context nonetheless. This guy definitely likes to be in front of the camera or in the news flow. Okay. Next here, also kind of going along with the Meta theme here, Trump administration veteran Dina Powell, Stripe CEO, joined Meta as Mark Zuckerberg reshapes the company. So some more stuff here. Meta announced on Friday it will appoint Dina Powell. Is it Dina? It's got to be pronounced that way. Anyway, hopefully I didn't butcher it too much. Dina Powell McCormick and Stripe CEO Patrick Collison to its board of directors, effective tomorrow, April 15th. The move increased the board size to 15 members. Meta CEO Zuckerberg took to Facebook to share the development, stating, quote, "Many businesses rely on our services to grow, and Dina and Patrick will help us continue to serve them." End quote. McCormick brings 16 years of senior leadership experience from her time at Goldman Sachs. She also held key government roles, including Deputy National Security Advisor during President Trump's first term, as well as senior White House advisor and assistant secretary of state under President George W. Bush. She serves as vice chair, president, and head of global client services at BTD and MSD Partners. Meanwhile, Collison, who co-founded fintech giant Stripe in 2010, has served as part of Meta's external advisory group, which offers counsel on technology and product strategy. Quote, "He's been an advisor to our company, and I'm glad he can work with us in a new capacity on the board," Zuckerberg said. Here's Zuckerberg's entire post. I'm not going to read it to you. These appointments follow a series of high-profile changes to Meta's leadership and policy agenda. In January, Meta appointed 3 new directors of its board, including the UFC president Dana White, a close Trump ally. What do you think of Meta redoing their board like that? The company has also made sweeping internal changes since the beginning of this year, like scrapping the U.S. fact-checking program, dissolving diversity initiatives, and promoting longtime Republican Joel Kaplan. Now, the fact-checking group here, they moved to a community-based form of fact-checking, which is universally regarded as better, especially what we've seen out of fact-checkers in the past. So just something to keep an eye on. Meta's current board also includes venture capitalist Mark Andreessen and DoorDash CEO Tony Zhu. Meta's current direction is viewed as an attempt to build rapport with the current administration. We kind of felt like that, right? It sure seems like Zuckerberg's very much like a flag, flapping in the way, whichever way the political winds are blowing. I would imagine none of those changes would have happened if Harris ended up winning. But that's just my own speculation. Coming on the heels of Mark Zuckerberg's $1 million contribution to Trump's inauguration, Trump has previously accused Meta of suppressing conservative viewpoints. Earlier, Zuckerberg also shared that officials, that's highlighted and I can't read it, that the Joe Biden administration had at times urged Meta to take down specific content, requests that the company pushed back on. So censorship issues there. Meta has earned an impressive growth score of 74.90 according to the Benzinga Edge stock rankings. Be sure to check those out if you haven't already. Okay. Let's really quickly go back and take a look at Meta's chart. I know that this is a banger of a trade. I know a lot of people end up trading this one. Oh no, what's going on here? Did I have Meta on here? ME. Oh no. Don't know why that happened. And I can't report it. What's going on? Come on. There we go. For heaven's sakes, just give me the Meta chart. My goodness. Oh my God. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it early here, guys. I'm gonna lose it early here. I don't know why this isn't working. Holy have I been typing the tickers in wrong all morning? I mean, my goodness. Here's your Meta chart. Sorry about the struggle bus right there. Here's your Meta chart. We had talked a lot about Meta really being one of the stronger Mag 7 names, holding above its 200 for the longest time. Finally broke that. And when it broke that, it actually didn't come in all the way to the 500 day. I think I would have preferred if that was the case. We didn't come all the way back in, but we got pretty close. Now, the move back up here, that power candle that we've been kind of looking at in some of the other stocks and other industries here, power candle basically took us right back to the 200. We got one close above it. We were unable to close above it again. And since we've kind of broken down from there now, we have a series here. Just from this recent move down, we have a series of higher lows here. In fact, just kind of looking at this trend, we'll just kind of eyeball it here. This trend right here, this is going to be important. First of all, we're obviously trading back up towards the 20-day. That value is at 571.01. Current price here in the pre-market is 551. We've got the 200-day not far above that at 578. So that area there between, let's call it 571 and 579, that area there is going to be significant resistance if Meta can punch through. I don't know if it can, but if it can, that's going to be some significant resistance. The downside here is definitely going to be this trend line. If this breaks down at all, I think that not only can we hit the 510 low, we can also probably hit the 485 low. The other thing is, depending on what the market is doing, what the broader market feels like here, I wouldn't, if Meta or if tech, I guess, really starts to sell off, I wouldn't be surprised if Meta rolls over and does finally print its 550 here. Until this trend line is broken, higher we go. Higher we go. I've got the two next levels to pay attention to above here on Meta, 571 and 578.5. Okay. Yeah. Stock chart tilt. No kidding, dude. I felt like I was fighting it, Cam. I don't want to fight it. I don't want to fight the charts. I don't want to fight the charts. Okay. Is Jay Diamond out there? We're going to need this. We are going to need Jay Diamond's opinion if he is. Let's take a look here. I didn't show up Monday without a Michael Saylor and strategy story. That's for sure. Bitcoin here, really quick check-in on Bitcoin here. Bitcoin futures 85,265 here in the pre-market. The highs, or this was the pre-market. What was this? There's the overnight high there, 85,700. So we are off those highs a little bit. Chart actually looks pretty good. Looks pretty good with the rest of the green arrows that we got here. But here's what's going on. Michael Saylor, co-founder and executive chairman of Strategy, hinted at a resumption of its Bitcoin buying streak following a week-long pause. Interesting. Saylor took to X on Sunday to post a chart that tracks the company's Bitcoin purchases with a cryptic caption, quote, "No tariffs on orange dots." That's fun. Michael Saylor, he's a fun guy. He likes to bring out some of the fun here. Let me know what you think about Michael Saylor's strategy here. Notably, similar Sunday posts with mysterious messaging have piqued the market's interest recently, as they have almost always preceded Bitcoin acquisitions the following Monday. If Saylor's firm does announce Bitcoin buys on Monday, it'd mark the resumption after a week's pause. In a recent SEC filing, Strategy revealed that no additional Bitcoin was purchased during the week ending April 6th. Interesting. As of this writing, Strategy's Bitcoin stockpile has grown to 528,185 Bitcoins, worth 44.68 billion with an unrealized profit of 25%. This is according to Bitcoin treasuries. And for those of you for those of you that don't have this bookmarked yet, I'm going to give you the website that I use that we are quoting in here for you. There you go, treasuries.bitbo.io. Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency market witnessed a much-needed rebound last week after President Trump relaxed his sweeping tariff measures, which had been the sector's undoing recently. However, Bitcoin mining, a critical part of the industry, faced many disruptions as most U.S.-based miners rely on China for supplies of applications specific integrated circuits and the equipment that includes these chips. Analyst John Todaro warned that materials cost for core infrastructures at U.S. Bitcoin mining sites could rise by roughly 20%, threatening to cut the miners' profits. Notably, the U.S. has raised import duties on Chinese goods to a whopping 145% as a result of the uncompromising stance between the two countries. At the time of this writing, Bitcoin was exchanging hands at 84,717, or 1,000 points higher, about right now. Shares of Strategy were up 2.21% in the pre-market after closing 10.2% higher at 299. MSTR demonstrated a high momentum score, a measure of the stock's relative strength based on its price movement patterns and volatility over multiple time frames. Again, be sure to check out Benzinga's Edge stock rankings. They're also in pro, just in case you were worried about that. Let's go back to the chart here and take a look at MicroStrategy. I guess we've got two things going on here. We could ask, what do we think about MST? It looks like when did I type that in, MST? I don't know. Maybe I typed it in wrong there again. Anyway, here we go. MicroStrategy. We are definitely in a consolidation phase as this thing has really been sideways pretty much all of 2025. I know we really kind of came in from some of those exorbitant post-election highs at the end of last year, but realistically, we've really kind of just traded sideways in a pretty broad range. Top end of this range really looks to be about 400 thereabouts. Bottom end of this range really looks to be about 240, 160 points. 160 points, that's a pretty significant range, although it has traded sideways here. It's done a really good job staying above its 200. We came in and tested the 200 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We've resolved above that. We're actually above the 50-day moving average. And if Strategy holds where it's at right now or trades higher, we're really going to stave off a potential death cross, which looked like that might be happening here, right? As soon as this was January, the beginning of this year, as soon as this 50-day started to pitch over here, we still had the 200-day pitching up, and that will remain so for a little bit here. Sure looked like we might be on the path here of a potential death cross. We'll see if we can stave that off. I'll ask 13 when he shows up, but I do think there's enough time here for this to really kind of not materialize, especially if we have any type of move higher towards that $400 level. The other key level here to keep in mind, 383.40, this is clearly going to be of importance. Maybe not today, but if we continue to move higher here, we are above the 50-day moving average, and we're not far from the 100-day moving average at 332.60. Doesn't look like we have Jamie Dimon here. Let me know what you think on Strategy's strategy, if you will, of buying more Bitcoin. Do you think they're going to buy more Bitcoin? Are you trading Strategy at all? Jonathan Cooper here. MSTR could be in for a perfect timing with Bitcoin down and FASB accounting due in May, the new accounting for Bitcoin. If we get 3 quarters of positive growth, it could be added to the SPY. I didn't have that on my radar. Thank you very much, Jonathan Cooper. That would be interesting, especially if we start getting some headlines around that. That could be something to keep your eye on. Really good mention. Okay. Let's go back and see. Did I miss anything from you folks? So going back to our discussion here on Instagram, it used to be a real creative photography website. Is that what you're referencing on on Instagram, or are you referencing Instagram there? ONDS just got a buy rating. All right, sweet. I'll take that. I didn't have that on my radar here today. Yeah, see, it looks like when I type in the full ticker there, it like doesn't get it right away. Lake Street initiating coverage on Ondas with a buy rating, price target of 2.5. Like I was saying earlier, that $2.5, $3 area that it kind of ran to before, I expect it to come back here before anything else happens. I know since then we've kind of round tripped here. We actually have, if you want to take a look at this, we can actually kind of do this right here. This would be this would be the most recent trend line to kind of pay attention. Let's come on. I am Cam. You were right. I am chart tilted. This is not a good start to the week with Rhino in the charts here, but we'll see if we can bring it back together here. This is going to be one of the trends that we want to see break here. I'm encouraged by looking at this chart that Ondas didn't really set new lows here. I don't really know why it would have done that. There's nothing wrong going on at the business right now. And they've spent a lot of time really kind of cleaning up the balance sheet, and we're hoping to see some fruits of that labor going forward here. Nothing has changed in terms of 2025. I am expecting more news, more coverage, more headlines, more contracts. I don't have specific dates on any of those, of course, but I am expecting that. So seeing a buy rating here is pretty good. Stock's up 6.2% here. If the market holds together here, maybe that buy rating carries us here at Ondas. I will say, these tariff headlines that have really just been freaking people out left and right. Because I like pain, I did add even more here. So that I say all that to say that when this does move up, I'm definitely going to keep a long-term position. Been in this for too long to just give up on it at this point. But I have enough now where I'm definitely going to sell on pops just to make sure I pay myself. It's been too long of a hold without any profit taking. So again, still have a long-term time horizon. I do still eventually, years down the road, think that this thing hits double digits. But in the meantime, if we get any type of move, I'm gonna focus on my risk and make sure I get myself paid. Today, pretty good to see that piece of news here. Yassine, pretty good. The day trader saying, yes, that was about Instagram. When it first came out, it was photos only. You know, it's funny, too, because I had a couple of friends that are into art and photography, and they were saying the same thing. And I feel like that was, Instagram's big thing early, and they kind of just dissipated and went away. And maybe it has to do with all of this. I wasn't a huge follower myself because I really just didn't use it. I played around with starting one for my cat, but I even got bored of posting on that one. I just kind of forgot about it. Just wasn't my thing. Okay. Good stuff here so far, folks. It's been a good Monday already. Yeah, see, when I type in the full ticker, it like thinks about it. And then when I delete and get, that's very interesting. There must be a lookup function or something. Sorry, I'm doing diagnosis in my head and talking about it live here. Let's stop doing that and bring on 13, see how he's doing. 13, good morning. Happy Monday, my man. How are you holding up?
I'm doing just fine. How's everybody this morning? How was your weekend?
Dude, we are great. We are like great on like a number of reasons. First of all, weekend was great and relaxing. The golf was unbelievable. Producer here, Rory McIlroy, did it finally. It feels like a piano and another piano and a sofa were removed from his back. The weather here in Chicago has been great. I played golf. I drove around. I saw family. Third day out, no complaints from the weekend, man. I had a great one. How about you?
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. Got a lot of things done. Rearranged my entire garage. It was a good time.
Ooh, okay.
Had to make room for stuff.
Let me ask you, was that on your to-do list or was that on your wife's to-do list?
It was on our to-do list.
Okay.
For a while.
Well done. Scoring some points. I absolutely love it. Okay. So 13, now that we're back here, we got a truncated week, right? Friday, market is closed here for Good Friday. So we got a 4-day week coming up here.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to this weekend.
I was going to say, me too. Yeah. What do you got? So let's take another pause here real quick. What do you got on the cooking front for the Easter weekend?
Oh, Easter crawfish boil. That's what we're doing.
Oh, man. That is going to be good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do a brisket. So we're going to have surf and turf covered. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'll send pictures and everything. It's going to be a good time.
All right. Let's do it. Now, before we get there, what do you want to take a look at? I basically just took a look at the news. Obviously, we had the tariff, semiconductor news, so tech's having a really good morning. Market's got green arrows across the board here, but we can basically start wherever you'd like. We've got an open canvas here today.
The movers list looked like garbage today. So if you just want to knock that out real fast, we can, because there's like literally nothing that I saw that was probably worth even covering. But I just wanted to take a look at one, just because you don't see this too often. But with THRD, this company is dissolving.
Here we go. Let's do it. So first one here on the list, going to be THRD, Third Harmonic Bio. Cool name, actually. Third Harmonic Bio shares are trading higher after the company announced a plan of liquidation and dissolution. Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, I'm going to give you a chart here. Here is, well, I'm going to try to. I'm obviously having all types of
chart's been a little funny this morning.
Yeah, and I'll report that here when I get a sec. They are still working though, so I was wondering if it was a me thing earlier. Anyway, here you go. We were at about 360 when we closed on Friday. We're up here at about 509. Here's what the chart looks like now. What's going on here, 13?
This company is dissolving, and the result of this dissolution is that they are going to wind up distributing whatever's left to the shareholders. They expect that to be about $5.13 to $5.33 a share. So we're pretty close to that. There's literally no trade here. They have, so I don't know if it even matters that I mentioned their float size at 22.5 million shares, but this dissolution is going to be taking place in the third quarter this year. Don't think there's, unless you want to try and capture 20 cents. I don't think there's a trade here, and you'd be holding on to this for at least 2 quarters. So I don't think there's anything worth grabbing here.
So why do that? I definitely think we have better opportunity elsewhere.
Yeah.
Then kind of wait that out. Looks like the big move's already happened. We'll see if this moves around. Yep. Okay, real good stuff there. I stepped away for a sec, so I just wanted to take a look here at the short interest. Maybe you talked about it. 7.5% of the float charted with 5 days to cover. What was that?
Yeah, I said no. I didn't take a look at that. There's literally nothing here.
Okay. All right, there. Nothing there. THRG, that's what's going on so far. Next here on the list is going to be THTX. Now, again, there we go. THTX. This popped on Friday, popped again in the after hours, and again here today, although it gave back some of its gains. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. On Friday, Tetra Technologies engaged in exclusive acquisition talks amid future PAC proposals. Looks like there was a letter to the shareholders from the board, or letter to the board. Come on, Ryan, get it together here. It's not the weekend anymore. This happened over the weekend, and then we had some more of that being reported here this morning. So what's going on here, 13? Short interest, 3.7% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That should be pretty much a non-issue. 31.5 million shares in the float. On average, the stock trades 1.8 million shares. What do you got here on ticker THTX?
Yeah, so thank you, producer, for this. This company reported on Friday that they were going to, they're now rejecting the future PAC's proposals. They cite ongoing exclusive negotiations with an alternate buyer, as reported Saturday. Soleus Capital sends a letter to this company board and presses for immediate engagement with the future PAC. As I was saying earlier, there's not a whole lot of really anything great going on with movers. So I'm kind of leaning on what some of the producer was giving us today. But this one has a float of 31.5 million shares. As far as the cash goes, doesn't it's not it goes in and out of profitability. Sometimes it has a good quarter, sometimes it doesn't. Has less than 6 million of cash on the balance sheet. They're going to have to raise capital at some point, so likely going to need to get that deal squared away. Looks like they are proposed. So there's going to be okay. So I didn't cover this one obviously, but on Friday the offering from Future PAC was 255 million. So don't really think that the cash position is going to matter since they're trying to get acquired. Okay. I don't know how to really trade a lot of these right now because there a lot of them. A lot of the movers that I looked at, as a matter of fact, all of them were not really moving. Some of them just had an initial pop and that was it, and there's very low volume. Others like these are just not moving very much at all.
It sure seems then that what we should probably do is see what the opening print is, right? Let's see. First of all, let's see if we have any strength here out of the open. Maybe we actually kind of trade back down.
I'm really leaning towards, this is a kind of morning where not a lot is looking great. Things aren't moving very well. There's still a lot of fear in the market from, the result of all these tariffs. I think, I think even Lyon was saying it. Let's just, be patient. I think he was saying selling the pops. Yeah. So that's kind of where my head's at. If we start to rally anywhere, that's not where you want to buy. You don't want to be scalping today, I don't think.
Yeah. And the other thing that I would say about some of these shorter term trades here, it might even make sense to focus on some of those ETFs. By the way, this week we're going to have Ed from Direction again as a guest on to talk about some of these levered ETFs. We'll ask him which ones have flow, what he sees out there. But to 13's point here, the trading action, if you want to be active, if you feel like you have to be active, the trading action might be a little bit better here using some of those ETFs. I mean, TQQQ and SQQQ have been great. They've been great to us, and we'll continue to make them great here. So, okay.
And that's the important thing, is that they are liquid. So you are going to be getting your orders filled with those kind of things. Whereas with these, I just don't know right now. They just don't seem to be getting enough attention.
I mean, a piece of news could come out about these and halt it. Yeah. And that's not going to happen with your ETF, right? Now Shamir here is mentioning, JNVR, the other side of the coin here real quick. The other side of the coin here is that there are going to occasionally be these things. Do I think JNVR is worth $56.80? No, hell no. But we'll see some of these smaller movers kind of do something like this. Look, predicting this is not easy. And anyone that says that they've got the formula there, I'd be skeptical. Of that.
This move that JNVR has today, it's nice. It's 11%, but it's not the substantial moves it was making last week. I think that's the real big takeaway here. The volume might not be there today with this one. So I think, if you're going to trade this, don't let me talk you out of trading it, but I'm really thinking that volume's going to be a little bit light today. Especially with some of these movers, and we may not end up getting a lot of these follow-throughs that we usually get with them. So let's just be careful with today. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. We can, this is obviously a mover from last week. Maybe this is kind of on back burner here. We'll see if you can end up getting that rolling here. Next one from this morning is going to be Verve. Now, I know we've traded this one before, and no, this is not a bittersweet symphony. This is another kind of a smaller mover here, Verve Therapeutics, which we've definitely traded off of the relative volume scanner. I believe this did have news about results here. Indeed. Verve, this is from this morning here. Verve Therapeutics reports results from Heart-2 trial achieving 69% LDL-C reduction with Verve 102. So you're getting data there. This was a phase 1B trial, it looks like. And positive news there. Stocks up 25%. 22.16% of the float shorted here with 15.7 days to cover, 72 days to cover. That's on an average volume of 1.6 million. We've only traded 7.2 million here today. So I do actually think we have some squeeze potential here. Now, keep in mind, float is at 75 million. So it's not as small as some of these lower float stocks, but significant short interest here. Good news from a phase 1B trial. 13, what do you make here of ticker VERV?
Well, another piece of important news on this one came on Friday when they were awarded fast track designation for this very drug that we're talking about here. This is for cholesterol treatment. So, you're getting a little bit of that from last week. You're getting a little bit of the relative volume in addition to the news today. And then you have the short interest providing a bit of a squeeze here, making some of these shorts cover their positions. But as far as this is just, initial data. So there's going to be more information, more headlines coming out of this. I don't know if we're going to get that today or if it's going to be sometime later this week. But we are going to be getting more of that later. I haven't looked at this company's pipeline yet, so I don't know what else they have going on here. But if we read some of these PRs that they've just put out, like the one that they did today, it should give us an idea of when we can expect some more of these results to be announced. So I haven't looked through it, so I won't be able to tell you that. But it looks like Looks like there is some information here about when. Okay, here we go. They expect to announce the final data from the dose escalation portion of the Heart-2 clinical trial, including durability data, in the second half of 2025. So there you go. Second half of this year, you're going to get another announcement from this company that should make this thing go wild like it is today.
Okay. Really good stuff there. VERV, Verve.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one here is TMC. Now, this one we've taken a look at before plenty of times. This is the metals company. Let's see. Let me go back to the chart here real quick. Oh, did I click on the wrong one again? I sure did. Here is TMC. Now, TMC surges as Trump plans order of stockpile deep sea critical metals here. That's what's popping TMC. Looks like we ran into some resistance there at 240. See if we can get above that here. I feel like we've traded this one before. Just a quick rundown on some of the stats. 5.95% of the float shorted with 3.49 days to cover. This, one of the bigger float stocks that we take a look at off the movers tool, 184 million shares in the float. So this one's going to be a little bit thicker. What do you think of this?
This is kind of in line with that theme that we've been exploring with, supply chain security and mineral security. We've talked about, antimony and copper. This is a rare earth angle, since that's going to also be, something that is going to be important with the, magnets, in particular, neodymium magnets. That's one of those critical rare earth metals. This is also mentioning MP materials. That's also up over 10% today. So there's a couple of angles you could play the critical minerals stocks, but we have traded this one to your point, but I don't think I know enough about this one. I know a little bit more about MP than I do this one, but so I don't have enough on this one. But if we're looking for other stocks to take the rare earth angle, this would be one of them. But like I said, I don't know enough to know how good of a company this is, or if this is just another one of these names that has a lot of leverage on it and doesn't make money. Looks like they don't have income right, or they're not profitable right now. What is their debt like? Don't have a good read on that, but they're going to be owing about 12 million within the next 12 months. So don't know how they plan to accomplish that with less than 3.5 million.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. You folks are mentioning ticker Bull, BULL. That's Webull. There definitely seems to be an issue here with that. I'm thinking that this is because it went public last week via a SPAC and then merged. So, David, you were asking about that. I am looking into that here. No problem. By the way, Webull here, ticker BULL, that had a high of 40.8 in the pre-market. It's actually down here at 27. So a wild pre-market here. I'll keep you updated on that. Ticker Bull, Webull. Again, this was a SPAC merger last week that came public. Ticker is BULL. I'll work with the team here and figure out what's going on here. Good morning, Jay. What a Masters indeed. I wasn't into golf back when Tiger was doing his thing, so this was without a doubt the best golf tournament I ever watched all day on Sunday. Glad to have you here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Seems like you did. Next one here on the list that I wanted to cover is VKTX. This is a show favorite. We've talked about Viking quite a bit here. They're making some more moves here. Viking Therapeutics up 22% here in the pre-market. It's actually taking another leg higher here. If we take a look at the news, I don't see anything here. What happened? Gained on Friday. I don't see any news here.
Let's see here.
Let's see. Analysts interested in these 5 stocks. Here's a breakdown. Maybe we had some analyst news over the weekend here on VKTX. Stocks up 20% on this one. Looking at the daily chart here, we've come all the way back in. It actually looks like we're trying to hold above one of the highs from May of 2023. This thing has really broken down. This was a potential merger target. I know we were talking about possible $100 price targets on this. Huge breakdown. Maybe the selling's been exhausted. Viking, yes. Viking is VKTX, Mike.
Yeah, there might be something that was in a previous PR about, something happening today. We've seen PRs like that before, various different companies. I'm sure that there's something that hasn't hit the news line yet, or it was already previously announced and it's happening now.
So producer sent me this. This is from Pfizer here. Pfizer today, this is April 14th here, announced the decision to discontinue development of one of its GLP-1 drugs.
Okay.
So maybe that's playing into this here.
Yep.
Now VKTX becomes more attractive with Pfizer's obesity drug out of the equation. That's got to be what's going on here. Plus 21%.
Yep, I think that's got to be it. That makes sense.
Yeah. And Mike's saying, take a look at Pfizer here, down about 0.1%.
And to
Jay's point,
tack on that, on another thing is that it's got high short interest with 8.5 days to cover. That's the largest days to cover it's had since 2023.
Sorry, trying to do multiple things at once here.
And then Goldman Sachs initiated coverage on it last Tuesday, gave it a $30 price target. That's not too far away from where we're at. Matter of fact, how high did we end up getting today? This morning, almost, actually not too far away. Not too far away at all. 27, almost 28, and we're still kind of rising. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it. I think you guys are right. Pfizer's news is what caused it to move.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. Okay, VKTX, pretty awesome morning here. Actually, it's funny too. One of my trader friends was telling me on Thursday, "Hey, you should buy this for a swing." And I was like, I'll wait it out.
Yeah, swings
he earned his victory lap that he's going to take here today. I'll tell you that much. I did not listen to him. Otherwise, I'd have even more smiles on my face here this morning. Okay, that pretty much does it for the movers list here. 13, I think we can probably go start talking about real stocks here, whatever the chat wants to see. I don't know if there's anything that you were looking at. We already took a look at IWM. I've got PRFX and Palantir, PLTR on the list so far. I'm sure the chat will help us out with some more stocks to take a look at. So what do you want to start with here?
We can start with whatever we want to look at. I mean,
Okay, in that case, we're going to start with Palantir here, ticker PLTR. And so I figured this out here. Team's looking at it too. When you type it in quickly, it misses it.
If you click it again, it usually will refresh it.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get that straightened out here real quick. Yeah, I'm sure they'll get that straightened out here. Nonetheless, it's working. Okay, so here's Palantir. So this is actually not quite the same, but kind of similar to MicroStrategy. It's really just kind of trading sideways here. I still really want this to get down to 60. I'm not giving up on that. I'm not adjusting my buy orders higher. I'm going to wait. I really want Palantir to get back down to 60. We'll see if it ends up doing that here. Today, however, with the plus 7.75% move here in the pre-market on the back of some of that news regarding the tariffs over the weekend, this is actually trading higher here. Palantir Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced that NATO has acquired an AI-powered military system through them. So you also have that PR or that piece of news going on here. This actually Palantir setting up like this is going to try and break 100. We'll see if we end up getting that. Do you have anything else here on Palantir?
This is going to test 100. I'm pretty sure it is.
We're at this point we're so close with the catalyst, with the market that's cooperating with it. Sure seems like 100 test is coming here.
It's a psych level. When we back in February when we gapped up to here, that's the level where we were finding support before we came back down. 100 is going to be the next level. I'm certain of it. It's just already got the trajectory. You have a bullish breakout here of this. You could even call it a bull pennant if you want. We moved over the 50-day SMA. We're trading above that, not too far away from 100. I'm not suggesting that this is going to rip past 100. I think 100 is going to be a resistance area that we still end up printing above, but I don't know that we're going to close above it. But I think we're going to 100 regardless.
Okay, we're right there. By the way, downside here, 92.70 is going to be that 50-day moving average. We have a gap created by this here today. It goes all the way down to what, 88-ish. So we'll see if we fall back in and fill that. But I agree with you, 13. Sure looks like $100 is the next step here. Next move higher, Palantir. That actually might be one to scalp out of the open. We'll see. Okay, that is PLTR. PRFX was the next one here. This is pain reform from last week. PRFX. Here is pain reform from last week. This very much unlike the last stocks that we were trading. This one very, very junky. Oh, we had that huge move higher here on PRFX. It's really come back. It's traded sideways here. I personally would not be in this one still. Whenever we talk about some of these movers on that initial day, it is just for that initial day. And this chart shows you why. The stock did nothing on Friday, and it's set up to do nothing here again. We are down about 4% here in the pre-market. Wouldn't be surprised if this completely round tripped another 15 cents down to 185. Quick look at the short interest here, 4.48%, 1.22 days to cover. It's traded 7,000 shares here today, folks. I don't think there's anything going on. Does have a micro float here, 860,000, but I don't think anything's going on here in PRFX.
Me neither.
Okay, that was quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low float, so you could, there's always that chance you're going to see this outsized move to nowhere, but it's probably going to be on very few shares. If you need resistance levels, you can look at all the price action we've had for the last 2 days of last week. That's going to start providing levels like around 215, 230, and 240, 235, 240. But I feel like even with the big move out of the gate, we're probably going to end up with a lot of what we saw on Friday, where we just trade sideways or lower for the majority of the day. I don't really know that there's a whole lot here.
Yep.
Just be careful with this one, I would say, or just find something else to trade.
Okay. All right. We've got SGN. Didn't we just take a look at that? Wasn't that one of the movers?
That was one of the earliest ones, I thought. Hold on a second. No, that was THRD is one of the earliest ones.
Okay, so
signing day, I think, was the other one. That's what this is, signing day, right?
Yeah. So
there's nothing here. I thought. I took a look at this one here. Let me just double check here, because I know I took a look at some of these and some just didn't look great. This already had the pop. It's beneath where it was on Friday now, and that's the other thing. This is trading underneath $1. That's also why I didn't really take time with it.
Yeah, I don't really see anything here. Was there any news catalyst that caused this pop here today? Yeah. Non-binding letter of intent to acquire all equity of blockchain digital infrastructure. And blockchain, the AI is capitalized in there just for the lulls.
Yeah, it's got a low float, 1.7 million. It's hitting some of these marks, but it's not trading very well right now. Was down on Friday, down today. If it does get a move up, I don't know that we're going to see it go much higher than VWAP, but I think there's better things out there to trade.
Yeah, I agree. It is taking over this company here. Looks like they're going to pay to do that. Market not rewarding it. We initially popped on that headline, now down 10%. SGN. Now, it's worth noting here that we're pretty much right. This 70-cent level is pretty much right where we were back before this initial move here. This was going to be what? Tuesday, April 8th. Wednesday, April 9th, we got that PR that really sent it. This has kind of done nothing since then. We basically round tripped this entire move. So see if it holds 70 cents, I would say.
Yeah, we were getting a mention from this earlier, but American Rebel, AREB, this was a mover yesterday. This is moving now. It just had a pop about 10, 15 minutes ago, trying to set up for its next move over 881. This is a mover that has actually picked up since I looked at it. This thing was hadn't been moving very much in the pre-market until just recently. So this could get going here. Moving on, Form 8 that was filed this morning, we just had this pop up on our newsfeed, so it was probably filed this morning. They are looking to enter a securities purchase agreement with 1800 Diagonal Lending LLC. So there's going to be I'm not going to read this out to you. You can take a look at it. It's Form 8, but that's likely what's causing this to move today. Float less than 600,000 shares. That's why you're seeing the price action that it has. I don't think we really need to get into the specifics of this one. We've already traded this one before. We know how it moves. I think just get ready for another decent day in AREB. Don't know how much we're going to get out of this. Let's take a look at the chart here. You know, I don't know that we're going to get to stupid levels in this one today. We could, but I don't know that we will. So let's temper expectations with this one. First things first, let's see if we can even get back above 10 with AREB. If we get above 10, we can start exploring other levels. But we've already seen this move quite a bit last week and pretty much the entire month. So I don't know how much more price action we're going to get out of this one. So let's see what this does out of the open, and we can figure out what to do from there.
1048, one of the previous levels that we've had on this one as well. So we'll see if we can get that in addition to 10. Martin was asking, did we cover bull? Yes, we did. What's going on here is that this was a merger. It went public last week via a SPAC merger with SKGR. I've alerted the team here. Bull had a huge move, right? Closed at 1325, printed a high of 4080 earlier this morning. It's back down here to 27. It is open and it's going, or it's trading right now. I'm sure I'll get the feed updated here for Pro so we can pull it, but I'll put it on a chart off my screen here, and I'll keep an eye on it here today. Okay, getting back to some charts that folks wanted to take a look at here. Bank of America was one. Let me see. Pete here, it said Bank of America looks interesting. Earnings before the open on Tuesday. You know what, Pete? That is a good reminder here. Here is your earnings calendar for the week. So we did have Goldman Sachs here this morning. They're actually trading higher by just over about 15 points. M&T Bank and Astronova here this morning. Tonight, Pinnacle, APLD. I know some of you folks are trading that one here. APLD reporting here tonight, but it really starts tomorrow, as Pete mentioned. Citi, Bank of America, PNC is your banks in the morning. We also get J&J there, and then United, JB Hunt, Interactive Brokers in the after hour. We'll see what that brings for us. But bank earnings starting here this week. There you go. There's a look at some of the earnings prints here. Now, Pete wanted to take a look at Bank of America. Here is your Bank of America chart. And you can see this move down here. We've basically set up right for this 500 day. We're currently sitting here 36.56. So we're sitting right above that 500 day. If it closes there, that would be pretty good. Some notable spots above here. We do have a gap that starts at just about 39 bucks, fills at about 40.84. And at the beginning of that, we've got the 20-day moving average there at 39.73. So this area, this upside area here, if this reports a pretty good earnings, I would target somewhere in this area. We'll see if it has the strength to do that. RSI here, still kind of no man's land, although it is on the lower end of the spectrum there, 37.38. 13, you got anything that jumps off the chart here on Bank of America?
Well, what jumps off the chart is the death cross that we have this morning,
of course,
on the daily. So that's not a great sign, especially considering that when we had the golden cross, that was back in December of 2023. So we've just been riding that for over a year now. You can even, if you look at a daily, perfect, you got a daily chart there. If you even start from October of 2023 and draw a trend line through the lows of August 5th, you can see that we have broken that trend as of last month, and we did even back test that trend line. There you go. And now we're heading lower. I would think that this does have the potential to trade back up a little bit, maybe even test that 20-day SMA or that $40 level. But I would think that this still has some more downside ahead of it following a short recovery. I don't know that we're going to start to go on to make newer highs from the high this year. The all-time high was back in 2022, at the beginning of 22. You could even draw a trend line from that level to the highs from this year, and that's your resistance area, your resistance trend to break. But as far as where this goes, I think it's initially going to trade up and then potentially go lower. I would be looking at maybe under 30 as an ultimate bottoming area, but that could take some time to resolve. It just looks bearish to me. I think this I think over a period of time, this is going to end up going lower. But initially, you might get a bit of a move up before we see that downside.
Okay, well, Pete, here we go. Pete says, was looking at the current versus a 20-day for a short swing trade on Bank of America. So, Pete, it seems to me like kind of like what 13 just outlined here, right? Like if we pop on earnings, maybe using that 20-day as a means to enter a swing short.
That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea at all. In fact, that might end up working out here.
Yeah, I just think that the important takeaways for me here is that trend line that I had you draw, we broke that, and we've been in that for over a year. That break of the trend line is important. We've seen this happen too many times when we break these trend lines. We just did that in the SPY, that it really starts to accelerate to the downside. You also have that death cross happening as well. So there's just a lot of not so great indicators here telling me that even if this does have some bit of a recovery, more downside is likely ahead.
Okay, really good stuff. Well, it seems like Pete's aligned with that for a potential trade based on that. Awesome. Okay, Bank of America. So here, really quickly here, Smoke Tuna, why when a moving stock is mentioned, it's getting cleanup? Sorry, Smoke Tuna, I'm not sure what you mean by there. Did I screw up again? Maybe. Jay Rice asking, you talk space names yet? Katy Perry and a bunch of chicks are going to space. Yeah, I did see that a little. I don't know what that means for any of the stocks. I did see that. It was Olivia Munn upset and criticizing them. Seems like sour grapes to me. I mean, if I wasn't going to space and a bunch of my peers were, maybe that I'd have this. I don't know. I don't know what's going. We didn't really talk about that, Jay. I'm not really sure how that affects the stock price.
Yeah, remember this is Blue Origin, so it's not like this is a publicly traded company that we can jump on, and maybe you can do Amazon if you want. I get that, but this is really just more about PR. I don't think there's these women aren't going up into space to do any kind of exploring or real groundbreaking scientific work. This is to get attention. Into space flight and space tourism. So that's as far as I'm looking at it. I wouldn't expect too many big things to come out of this, but you are going to see a lot of headlines about it. They're probably going to talk. The women that are going are probably going to talk about a lot about their experience, and it's going to be a lot of what you saw when you had William Shatner and all of them go up into.
Which, by the way, just as kind of an aside here, pretty cool. I mean, going to space is cool. This is not a criticism or anything. No. But I think you make a really good point here. I'm just not sure what could come out of this that would affect some of the stocks.
The ultimate question is, how does this make us money? And it's not.
I like how Pete, you're on fire, man. Yeah. A Bezos vanity project. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Really not a whole lot going on here, just kind of a PR thing. Cool.
Spacesuit modeling. That's actually probably the best description I've heard of for this flight. This spacesuit modeling. That's not bad. That's a good one.
Oh, Jay, second Monday in a row with no crash here. The inverse Kramer. Jay out here throwing daggers early. I love it. Rory wins the Masters and Jay comes with the daggers locked and loaded. You just love to see that. You love to see that. Okay. Hello, Izzy. Welcome back. Hello. Please tell me that you were trading Amazon last week, because we didn't see you here. I think you were on vacation with the fam. Well earned, by the way. But please tell me you're ready to go, because that was awesome last week. And we're getting set up for another awesome week this week. Market looking to open here near the highs. Near the highs. Okay. That was Bank of America. Well, I guess we'll stick with this and go to JPM here, another bank. Okay. JPM here, they reported earnings, right? Mm-hmm. That was last week. They did their earnings last week here.
Yeah.
What? They've confirmed multiple. Yeah, it was on the 11th. I was like, what do you mean? 7/15, it's April, but they've already confirmed their next one. Good for them. JP Morgan here, of course, already reporting. This has actually a great chart here. We're basically sitting right on the 20-day. So we just talked about Bank of America here for a potential short swing entry if it beats and trades up to the 20-day. Well, fast forward to JPM. We already have it here at the 20-day. We're actually sitting above it. So I'm curious to know if JPM shows any weakness here today, Is this a potential short given that we're already above the 20-day, or is this too much of a fortress and much better than Bank of America? You're not interested in shorting this. Chart actually looks pretty good here. I don't know if you have a name for the 50 crossing through the 100 to the downside,
Nope.
13, but that's setting up here. Although if this keeps trading up, I could actually see us trading up to that 248, 249 spot.
Real quick before JPM, AREB is starting to push up a little bit off of the VWAP. But as far as JP Morgan goes, I see that you had the shoulders, the head and shoulders, kind of marked off there, because that's what it looked like we were going to get here, as head and shoulders that was, resolving to the downside in the way that they usually do. We got a big turnaround here. I don't know what exactly the news was from earlier this month. I don't think that was earnings quite yet. That didn't happen until Friday, I believe, right? So
yeah, this downturn here was the tariff stuff. That was April. That was Liberation Day. They got liberated from the 240 handle down to the 2.
I'm more speaking on like what the recovery was about that got us back up here when a lot of these other stocks weren't doing the same. This is, this could invalidate this head and shoulders pattern here pretty soon, especially if it gets back over the 50-day SMA. I would have liked to see the price come down to the 500. That would have been a really good resolution of a head and shoulders pattern, and we could have considered that done and out of the way. But now we're facing an invalidation of this pattern. So I don't think this went quite down far enough. It's still resolved down, but I don't think it went down as far as it needed to. So we're kind of getting a little bit of an invalidation here in the pattern. Totally invalidated, in my opinion, if we get above 256. But right now we're between the 20-day SMA and the 50-day SMA, and I think depending on which one the price moves over, if it's down, if it's going to move down beneath the 20-day SMA, then I think we're headed lower. If it moves up over the 50-day SMA and holds above there, then I think we're going to go higher.
Okay, good stuff there. Good morning, Shannon. Great to see you. Happy to have you around here. Chris mentioning TLT at HOD here as well. Okay, good stuff there on JPM. Toyota Motors was the other one that was asked about here. Again, let me go ahead and do that real quick. Boop. They're going to fix it. I'm watching the discussion here. It's just a timeout. It's a timeout with one of the lookup modules, which is creating a really unpleasant experience, but nothing's actually broken. Anyway, here's your Toyota chart. You can see that we recently dipped here. 160 looks to be where we were supported by. We did fall beneath that, but we kind of reclaimed that here. Interestingly enough, we're pretty much right beneath this volume point of control here at 175, and then several of the moving averages right above it, including a death cross that just happened. Or is it happening today? Death cross here on Toyota. RL, I see why you were bringing this up here. You're 50 about to move through this. Now, 13, I wanted to get your opinion here on this because you've talked about this with other death cross setups before. We recently had this thing, Golden Cross, on March 6th. It traded above it a little bit, and now it's death cross. So what do you make of the small window between these two things happening?
Like I've said, when you see these, pretty close together golden cross and death crosses to where it's like those two moving averages, the 50 and the 200, are kind of oscillating between each other. I tend to lean less heavily on the on what those golden and death crosses are implying, but this still does look bearish to me. There's other things at play here that take on that less bullish stance. Like for example, you have the what looks to be a bear flag forming if you start from the end of March. And this drop that we've had over the tariffs, the sharp recovery we've had kind of sets up a bit of a a bear flag here.
Mm-hmm.
And if we aren't able to get back above 180, I think this is going to turn right back around and come back down to 150 or lower.
Okay. Good stuff there on TM. There you go, RL. You're more than welcome. 2 minutes till we open here.
Yeah.
Nadeem is asking, do you guys explain how and when to enter, examples of entry to learn? We talk about what we're trading and what we're seeing on the chart, but we are not licensed. We are not advisors, and we cannot tell you or explain to you how to trade. At the end of the day, that's going to be up to you. We will try and pass on what we're seeing and lessons that we've learned to help you.
And one thing that we've experienced here just with this show is that there is a significant lag sometimes, and
Yep.
we don't want to tell you like, oh, this looks like a good spot, we're going to enter here, only to have you receive that information as many as 20, 30 seconds later,
Exactly.
completely miss it, or try to still make it work and get yourself caught in it. We're not going to be doing that. We don't do that here. If
Nope.
you need to learn on entries and exits and closing positions and how to how to trade in general, there's other programs that Benzinga has that they can help you with that. I mean, Ryan, you know which programs those are? I don't have those free.
Yeah, you could actually go to benzinga.com. There's a number of different help resources that are designed to be free for beginners.
Mhm.
They also have services like the Options Trading School. We bring Mark Petrino on here to kind of talk about charts and technical analysis. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. Be sure to reach out to one of our onboarding people here. But yeah, no, what we're doing here is we're actually trading what we see. And you can choose to follow along if you want. We are not an alert service.
Here goes Arab. That was a beautiful setup. That bull flag, that bull pennant we were getting with the Arab moved off the VWAP, heading up higher now. Remember, we were talking about selling into these moves. So this is the kind of move that I think you'd be starting to want to lighten your position on. Doesn't mean it couldn't go higher, but trade how you're going to trade this. And this is the kind of move that we've been looking for, where we want to start to take our gains.
Okay, Apple here acting a little heavy. This had a very, very strong pre-market on the back of the tariff buckets or whatever you want to call them here. Apple waiting a little bit out of the gate. Tesla here ripping out of the gate.
Let's see here.
TSLA power move here out of Tesla. Right out of the gate, near the highs here, 260 on Tesla.
You could even draw a little trend line here on the daily chart from the past three peaks that we had. Those would be on March 27th, April 2nd, and April 9th. Those highs, draw a trend line. That's the trend line we got to get over here. Now, one thing that is concerning to me about Tesla is the death cross we just had. So even if we do break this trend, I don't know that we're going to necessarily get over the 200-day SMA.
Trend line incoming here on Tesla. We'll see.
Let's see what else is moving. It looks like MP Materials is going down. What was that other one that we were looking at?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see a whole lot of mover. Here we go. Verve now on the scanner. This fell. Is this halted? No. Verve here fell right away from VWAP, right out of the open here. Remember, that's VERV is below the pre-market low now.
So TMC, one of the movers we were looking at, that had a pop up to the pre-market high. Could not get any higher than that. Really
Rustam, Ryan, how do you join your trading group? You just simply join the Benzinga community in one way or another. That is my trading group. Good morning, Rustam. Happy Monday. It's great to see you, my man. I'm sorry, 13. I think I ran you over there, and I'm sorry about that.
No worries. I was just talking about TMC and MP. A couple of the TMC was one of the movers we were looking at, and I was just mentioning how it went up to the pre-market high and kind of got rejected. So still the same thing. We're trying to sell into these moves here because, in my opinion, I don't think this is this upside that we see here today in the market is really something we want to trust or buy into. I think the market's still pretty weak. THTX, that trying to get up to the pre-market highs as well. You can even do a trend line on that one. How close are we to breaking that? Not quite there, but not too far away either.
THTX here, 270 seems to be the next spot.
Yeah. AREB that popped up to 945, came back in. So okay, so that move happened, and now we're sinking. This could end up halting to the downside. Sell these moves. Rocket Lab coming in.
Webull halted to the upside at 3040. I'll let you know when that opens. That's ticker BULL Webull.
All right. Got people going long on SPY. Looks like
All right, seeing some Apple calls getting bought into the move lower here post the news. Be interesting to see if Apple finds any footing and turns around here. AREB is halted now.
To the downside, yeah. And THTX, that's breaking that trend. Let's see if it holds. High of the pre-market was 292. Remember, we're going to probably end up seeing a lot of selling into these moves, folks. There's a TMC now pulling. MP pulled down to beneath at 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Now it's popping higher. Pre-market high for MP is 26.21. Looks like some of these other material and metals names are starting to move as well. Wow, some of these really having a massive pulls as well. Very, very surprised VKTX didn't halt with that knife. Oh, how did that open? Said there was a knife.
OTLK. This looks like this might be trying to go above 140. We were looking at VKTX. You were doing?
Yeah, that was.
Here you go.
So knife almost down to that 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Probably going to end up testing that here in just a moment. Looks like the market's coming in a little bit. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you didn't. I basically just took a deep breath in right there. Apple here does look like it's finding some footing there around 208. Mike, good morning. It's great to see you, my man. You're mentioning Yin here. Yin is the bull shares here. The levered bull ETF. That is moving higher here. Mike saying the China play is interesting. Mike, what do you think's going on here? What is your what's your thought here on the China trade? What are you looking to happen next? I suppose
SPY sinking. That's it's looking like it's trying to fill the gap here. The gap that it created, over the weekend. I mean, shoot, that would be a pretty nice gap to fill. That goes all the way beneath 537.
Coinbase coming in a little bit. So far, the sell the pop move has been the correct move here. I guess unless you were talking about Webull, everything else seems to have come back in a little bit off the top. Here's a look at Palo Alto. This also came back in off the top a little bit.
Yeah, SQQQ was doing pretty well here with this selling out of the open. Might be coming up to a bit of a resistance area. We'll see if the selling kind of slows down here. So in the meantime, AREB still halted to the downside. THTX trying to hold above VWAP and that trend line. Did you need to get in there?
Izzy, what's the buy spot here on Amazon? Amazon pulling here out of the open, pretty much right back down to where we closed on Friday. Maybe a potential long here for a scalp. Where's your buy spot, Izzy? Ticker AMZ on Amazon.
It's not great seeing the continued resistance from that 20-day SMA. It's one of the things that I'm sure of it, that a lot of times we were talking about how we've seen a lot of these Mag 7s with these death crosses happening, that we want to get a recapture of these lagging moving averages, the 20-day SMA being one of them. That's been suppressing the price ever since we lost the 200.
Izzy says 183 for Amazon there. So Apple came into its 65 EMA on the 5-minute chart and bounced there so far. We'll see if that holds. That value 208.05, by the way. Webull is open and came back in. At least on the first move, popped higher. It came back in a little bit. It's basically right around its VWAP right here. I haven't got an update yet on Webull. Adding it to the chart here.
Interesting thing about Amazon and that 183 level, that was April 3rd's open, 183 exactly.
Okay.
All right, TMC, that's looking not great right now. It's looking just like Viking Therapeutics, following a big knife, a little bit of a green recovery candle, but not able to get above VWAPs. Signing day, this SGN one we talked about as being a mover, this thing doing nothing. It's just sideways right now. That just popped in the pre-market, came right back in. That was a short setup. UAMI here, United States Antimony. This gave back its pre-market move higher, but hasn't broke down. Actually did find some support there, 295-ish.
That again is your 65 EMA on the 5-minute chart.
Quantum vortex, that's a great point. I think everybody should, give themselves a pat on the back for staying smart in this market. We were talking about the same thing. Yep. We all saw it. We all did it.
There's the other thing here is that there's not necessarily a reason to be a hero, right? You don't have to do anything right out of the gate. Sometimes you'll see an initial move put in. The better move doesn't happen until the setup happens. We haven't seen that yet here today.
STFU, I'm not convinced that we've seen the bottom yet. I think that
you're talking about the SPY, right? Let me get a chart to accompany that, 13.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that the bottom is in for sure yet. I think there's still a number that's going to be lower than the what is this? The 480, 180 print low that we made back on the 7th. I don't think that's going to be the low of this current sell-off here that we've got going on. I think we could see lower. Don't know how much lower, but I don't think the low is in yet. And now I gotta give a little bit asterisk to it. Whatever Trump does could end up making the bottom that we have the bottom for now for quite a while too. I mean, it's just kind of his market right now. Whatever he says and does is pretty much going to dictate where the market goes.
Yeah. The top here, 444 seems to be the high print. We were talking about, at least on Bank of America, a possible move up towards the 20-day moving average, which is the purple line on the chart. That might actually look for decent short entry here. SPY didn't quite get to that, although it is backing off here. Here's Bank of America. Again, we'll see what happens post earnings here. JPM was the bank that was already there, right? Yep. So we'll see here if JPM loses 236 3/4. That also is represented by your 20-day moving average. By the way, Webull now going to halt to the downside, a nasty knife, a broadsword, one might say, ticker BULL. This moving to 27.87, halted to the downside on Webull.
THTX breaking out new highs, broke through the pre-market high. Yeah, we're ripping in this one now. This break of the trend line was all we needed. That was great. $3 now printing.
Okay, so at least one of these movers actually gave us something here today instead of being a complete head fake.
Yeah.
That's better than some of the other stuff that we've had.
SQQQ still just tearing it up right now as the market continues to drop. It looks like we're really going to fill this gap on SPY. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it looks like we're going to fill this. It's making the SQQQ do some pretty wild things this morning, up over $1.50 now.
Okay, well, I'm going to check in on the TQQQ because that might be the one that sets up for a long side as it moves away from the VWAP. So I've got VWAP here on TQQQ at 51.25, and the current price here at 50.40. So we're about $1, 80 cents away. Excuse me, 80 cents away from that. I'd like way more than that here, frankly. I'd almost like double that, right? $1.50 away here would feel pretty good. We'll see if we can get the SPY to plunge at all. That actually might, or the Qs to plunge at all. That actually might make this all right.
Yeah, I think when we look at the Q chart, we can kind of get an idea of where we might see this daily reversal. That might be down about somewhere just under 257, I think.
457?
457. I'm sorry. Yeah. Just under 457 is, I think, where we might start to see the TQQQ start to turn back up. It's going to mean that we see the TQQQ drop even more from here. So I think I'll be waiting for that. But also, one other thing to point out with this QQQ chart, the price opened and was rejected at that 20-day SMA again. Look at the 20-day SMA continuing to reject the price for the past almost month and a half now. I'm sorry, month. This past month.
Here you go.
Keeps doing it until we start closing over it. It's going to continue to do it.
That's setting up another move down here. SPY at 540. We'll see if it ends up losing that 540 level. I'm going to take a quick look at some of the movers here. ARTL, Artello Biosciences. This is a stock that was pennies last week into dollar territory today. This is ripping on some expanding volume, although I'm not sure. D. Boral Is that, oh, that was from Wednesday of last week. Nothing fresh here. ARTL seems to be just kind of moving on momentum here. Here's your THTX. Anyone that took that one here early, good stuff. As that breaks above the pre-market high, I'm not in this one. I'm going to kind of save my dry powder for some of the bigger movers here today. 5.4. By the way, 540 on SPY did break to the downside. Now we're in a 539 handle. As SPY continues to come back in. Bull is still halted. I got that on another chart here. I'll let you know when that opens on Bull.
Oh yeah, THTX, and your good job, Smoke Tune, on that one. That was a great move on THTX. Probably the best mover that we've had this morning off the list that we looked at.
No question. No question. Goldman Sachs here. This reported earnings. Goldman Sachs was trading higher after they reported Q1 financial results and then beat its adjusted EPS and revenue guidance. Goldman Sachs has since turned around, although it is hanging on to green by 1% here. That's ticker GS. Tyler's asking, do we long Nvidia here? So Nvidia, this could definitely be one of the stocks to trade here today. I guess if you want to do this instead of TQQQ, my only question here is what's going to turn this around? Are you doing a regression back to the mean as your thesis here? Is there a particular level that's going to come into play here?
For me, this rejection of the 113 level doesn't look great for the upside, but it does have the 20-day SMA beneath it. That's going to be the next area of support that I think that Nvidia has. So that's going to be at 110 and 51 cents. You call it 110.50 if you like. That's where I'd be looking at for support.
And we talked about Nvidia earlier here when we kind of set this up. Nvidia still obeying the channel that we have drawn here. We basically popped back to the midpoint of the channel. So what I had said earlier is we really kind of wanted to hold this area, that 110.50 spot that you were just talking about. That's your 20-day. It basically lines up with this, right? 110.50 seems to be your downside spot here on Nvidia. You really want that to hold. If that holds, then maybe we can move higher towards this 119, which is the 50-day moving average. But we did death cross here back in the end of March. This isn't enough resolution to that for you, right? You'd like to see this resolve a little bit more?
What are we referring to?
The death cross on NVIDIA, sorry.
Oh, I still think that has more time.
More downside to go. So I look for maybe some resistance there up around 119. By the way, Bull, ticker BULL, Webull, is open and trading higher now after that recent halt.
All right, looks like SQQQ trying to push higher. Yeah, I still think that 457 area is where we might see a good amount of support in the Qs, to where we want to stop with the SQQQ and start looking at the TQQQ. So I would take the TQQQ under 50.
Okay. Tesla rolling over to the downside here. Here is your TQQQ, 50 and a quarter right now.
Yes, sir. Let's see here. Come on, load for mid-chart. I want to see Tesla.
James here saying, I usually wait for all of the trader wash to settle before making decisions. James, I think that this is spot on. I've really been doing this recently, and it's really made me pull out less of my hair because I haven't made some of these early mistakes that I had been prone to making. I think this is a really smart thing. You don't have to be a hero, especially right out of the gate. Let the market. I like that trader wash. I like that term. I like that term a lot.
It wouldn't surprise me if Tesla ended up doing like a triple bottom, but I don't want to say that we're going to turn around after it does that. This just death crossed late last week. Actually, no, today. Death crossed today. It was still above the 50 was still above the 200 on Friday. So Max 7's having a lot of death crosses lately.
It'll be interesting to see where we resolve lower, where that actual bottom is. Citigroup, we talked about them having earnings tomorrow morning, right? Tomorrow morning, Citigroup reports earnings, seeing a fairly aggressive call sweep here in the September monthly 62.5 calls. Ticker C, Citigroup. 162 contracts in that most recent sweep. Trader paid $111,000 for that position. Now actually seeing a put sweep come across in the 64. This one expires this week. So that's a much shorter term, much less money there. It looks like the short-term bet there on Citi was to the downside.
Getting a mention from Whole 9 Yards at TMC. Looks like this is trying to come back up here. Now, here's the thing about TMC. We have these 3 candles after this big drop in the price. This needs to close above the VWAP for me on the 5-minute. We can't close above this. I think we do end up going lower. And this whole sideways price action that we got in the pre-market, that's going to create a bit of a supply zone now that we were trading beneath it. So I think it's going to have a lot of work ahead of it to get and hold above this consolidation and VWAP. And right now it's currently looking like it's getting rejected, but we'll see how this shakes out. We need to close above VWAP for starters, and then we need to get back above 240. I think that's a bit of a tall order for TMC right now.
By the way, ARM holdings here, you actually just saw a fairly interesting option sweep here. These are the March 2026 puts. The 100 puts. So this is going to be a leap here. 300 contracts bought there. Spent about $500,000 on that trade. So interesting. ARM 100 puts.
TQQQ is trying to turn up. This is trying to recapture the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, and it's moving up towards VWAP. It looks not bad right now, but I think I'd prefer to see if it can even get back above VWAP. I'm not sure based on what I'm seeing right now that it's going to do that. I think this is just setting up to go lower, kind of like another intraday bear flag.
THTX here might be setting up for another run at 3. We'll see if this one has the strength to pop above. The volume has kind of died off here. Also, Webull trying to take out its VWAP on the 5-minute, trade above it.
THTX is looking pretty good. Still, if this needs to cool off, I'd like to see it try and hold above its VWAP while it does that. But this is still the strongest one of the day.
Yeah.
Now look at the MACD. This has been going on, moving pretty good right now. So watch for it to start to curl, because I think that's going to tell you when to maybe wait for this to set up next. Now that we are trading above the trend line that we broke out of, we're going to want to see that if we do come back in underneath VWAP, we're going to want to see this trend line back tested as support.
See if THTX can make a move at 3 there. Here's Verve. This is another one of our movers. This knifed right out of the gate. Look at this. Right down to a pre-market level, and it's curling. Nadim asking, do you think Verve can turn around after we had the positive news in the pre-market and a controlled sell-off at the open? So do I think that this can turn around? Yeah, we've actually seen that from a number of these movers here. I'm encouraged that this broke down to a pre-market level and kind of held it. Right now, it sure looks like it's testing 372, which is going to be your 65 EMA on your 5-minute chart. Looking at the level 2 here for Verve, it does look like the volume kind of thins out above 372. So I would absolutely watch that level here. VWAP at 404. That is not out of the question for a scalp there. Do I know if this is going to hold higher on the back of that news? Can't tell you, but just kind of looking at the chart and the trading action here, a 372 break on volume might send us for a 4 test there. This curl looks pretty good. Looks like it's holding a pretty decent pre-market spot. I really want to see that volume kind of expand here. We're above 372 now.
Let's see if this can get back above VWAP. I think that's going to tell you whether or not this is going to recover.
Sorry, I was just going to say I am seeing some lots cross the level 2 here. So it does look like there's some buying interest now that we've crossed 372.
Draw a trend line, and I think if we do break VWAP, that's going to be the next thing you want to pay attention to. We're back above VWAP now, so you have the trend line that goes from that 485 high going through the high that we had just at the open there. That's trend line to break. See if it gets back up.
I like it. Okay, so this 370, this is actually not bad. Not bad. Many STFU saying many sellers here on Verve, but I'll tell you what, crossing that 373 seems to have attracted more. I like to see this volume stick. The way I would look at this now, if you're scalping this short-term trade, I would just put a stop at break even there at 373. Let's see if this can keep moving higher. Again, I have got the VWAP at 404, so you must have a way different VWAP than I do. I've got it at both here, 404 on the broker and in TradingView here.
375 is mine.
Wow. I do like that trend line, though, as the next target above here on Verve. This was really good timing, by the way.
Now,
I'm serious. As soon as we looked at this thing started to move through that 373. Really good timing there.
I think we're going to want to pay attention to 390, though. That trend line, yes, definitely going to be something to watch for. But you look at this other price action we've had following. So around 7:30, like a little bit after 7:30, you had this breakout move that was that took out that 390 area, and that was resistance for a good portion of the morning, from about for the first 30 minutes after 7 o'clock. That was resistance 390. We broke out above that, ran to 485. Came back in, found 390 as support until we broke beneath it after we opened. So I think that 390 area is going to be the next level to recapture in order to take out that trend line.
Okay. We'd like to see some more buying step in here and really kind of expand this stick. Doing a good job holding above 373 so far. We'll see if it can do it. Smoke Tuna here saying it needs some more time to set up.
I think so.
So it's trying right now, but to your point, we're not actually taking out that VWAP yet. Good stuff there on Verve, though. That looked like pretty good timing. ARTL, this was another one that we actually didn't have on the list. This did make a move as high as 140. It's backed off here, though. 125 is the VWAP if it can hold that. Kathy, good morning, Kathy. It's great to see you again. NAOV, that was a mover from last week. Are we getting, it's Nanovibronics getting back at it here. We're actually above Friday's intraday high here on Nanovibronics, 775. This looks like this is trying to make a run at 8. What does our daily chart here look like? That recent high that we had, was that must have been from... Yeah, that was on that huge impulse move that took us to 16 and change. Well, this is going to be pretty good on your levels here. We take out this pre-market 950, looks to be your next spot here. We take out the pre-market high from Friday. 950 might be your next spot here, NAOV. Kathy, good job sticking with this one.
I think the Qs might be getting ready to go lower. See if that's the case here.
THTX did move above 3. Good stuff for whoever stuck with that one.
Yeah, that one's been moving really nicely.
VKTX gave back, and this actually taking another leg lower here on VKTX. I'd be careful with that one. The volume here really telling the story. It's just all sellers.
MP Materials with new highs. TMC, not so much the same. Here we go. I think we might be getting if you're looking to do the directional ETFs, I think your opportunity for TQQQ might be coming. It's not here yet, but it looks like it's getting ready to go lower towards that level on the Qs we were looking at, 457. To keep an eye on that, because I think that's about where we could see a rebound here in the Qs. NAOV, that one hit a high of 830 just a moment ago.
Webull, looks like this is halted again, this time to the upside, 32.92 on Webull. That is at the intraday high, halted there. Webull. Yes, Kathy. Webull is halted. Interesting stuff already here this morning, and we really haven't had anything crazy happen, just kind of some interesting movement. No tape bombs yet, knock on wood. No, I probably just totally jinxed us.
THTX coming back in here, testing VWAP. This may be the point where we start to turn around, lose VWAP, and back test that trend line.
Looks like it popped above 3 and shook some folks out there. Webull's open now and moving higher. 35 prints the high. We're above 35 now. 35.70. Webull just wild. $36 prints now on Webull. Is that that 4080 pre-market high? Not out of the question here. Webull volume also looking good. That's ticker BULL. No, here, let me see if there's an update on this.
Looks like the Qs are still trying to get a lift here. I'm just, I'm skeptical. So no position in anything with the directional ETFs yet. Bull's open candle is 10%. THTX, a Chinese company going out of business. Okay, so just looking for this one last down move here in the Qs.
Okay.
Not touching anything yet. Looks like THTX still holding up on that VWAP, but be careful. Yeah, it really does feel like that way, Line. Sorry.
It's okay. The market is dancing, no clear direction. That's what you're saying. It really does feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it's still kind of figuring it out here, right? Which is, you know what? If that's the case that we're in, that's probably all right. We just a huge volatile last 2 weeks, really. And now maybe a tighter consolidation range. I wouldn't be pissed about that, to be quite honest.
We had some pretty decent movement this morning. I've only really taken a trade on SQQQ when it was moving up. No position in that right now. Nothing in the TQQ. I'm not trading anything at the moment. I really need to see some kind of better clarity on a direction here. I would think that the SQQ is one more move up. Alternatively, the TQQ has one more move down, but it's taken a little bit of a time for it to happen.
Bull continuing to rip here. Looks like the high print there on Bull was 39. It's pulled back 3 points off of that. Extremely volatile here.
That's just kind of been the whole ETF thing lately. I'm sorry, not the ETF, the IPO thing lately, hasn't it?
Yeah, sure has. And this was a SPAC merger, but yeah, really these newer stocks here getting some attention, and we're seeing that here on Webull. One of your big movers here of the day.
Brad, VWAP is volume weighted average price.
Okay. It is 10 o'clock on Monday, one of the favorite times of the week. We're going to check in with the one and only Matt Maley. Let's bring him on and see how it's going. Matt, good morning. Happy Monday. You know what my first question is going to be. You already know what my first question is going to be. Did you watch the Masters? Did you enjoy the Masters on Sunday?
Well, I mean, it's funny because it reminded me of the stock market. I mean, Rory McIlroy. I mean, he went like, oh my God, he's completely collapsing right from the. Oh no, wait a minute, he's going to win this thing easily. Oh no, wait a minute, he's gonna have these triple ball. Oh no way, but it was a lot of fun. It was in the end a little too bad because from what I understand, Justin Rose is the classiest guy on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
So that he blew, but he played really well. It wasn't like he blew it. I mean, obviously he had a great day, and Rory McIlroy, of course, it was a good day for golf and a lot of fun to watch, especially considering it was about 38 degrees and raining outside. So I had nothing. It was good.
Yeah. So you had a built-in excuse. I absolutely love that. I also love the tie to the market. We've seen an incredibly volatile week. Again, want to thank you for coming on Wednesday with us last week. Where do you think we sit at now? We've just got some news over the weekend about tariff exemptions, exclusions. I'm not even going to fight you on whatever you want to call it. Where do you think we sit right now with the broader market?
Well, I mean, one of the things on the positive side, at least on a near-term basis, is that people are getting to understand, or at least realize, that there is some sort of a Trump put. People thought it was going to come in if the market went down 8% or something. Well, that didn't happen. And in fact, it didn't really happen when the stock market was down. It wasn't until the bond market saw those serious moves that they, he seemed to backtrack, and he backtracked a little bit more this weekend. That gives us a certain amount of, I guess to say, a relief. I don't, because I'm not a big fan that this is necessarily means that the bottom is definitely in, or the market, and I definitely don't think it means the market can rally back in a major way, because the overall situations, the economy is still slowing. We still have a the earnings are coming down. We have earnings season. We're going into, started late last week. We're going to plow through that over the next couple of weeks. They're just going to come down. I mean, the stock market, even at where it closed on Friday, still trading at 20 times for 2025 earnings. Those earnings are probably going to come down. So it's still an expensive market. And a Trump put is not like a big QE program where they're going to blast a bunch of liquidity into the system, because that's when you get those kind of liquidity injections, that can help the stock market stay overvalued. This kind of a thing won't. And when people realize, okay, great, we may not be going to zero next week, but are we really going to rally back? And look at the underlying economy. Market's still too expensive. So I think over time, the market will come back down. On a very short-term basis, though, this definitely gives investors some relief.
Okay, awesome. And we've seen that here. And one of the things that we've been talking about recently is with these tape bombs and the headlines back and forth. One of the really important things is to stay active here. I noticed that you have been absolutely crushing it in your chat room out there. I did go ahead and throw a link for your chat room in here. You had the HYG puts last week. Looks like you opened those at about 20 cents, closed them at 50, $1, and then $2. I mean, Matt, that's a monster. That's an absolute monster.
That worked out incredibly well. And it was funny because in the chat room, that was actually not my idea. It was one of the other people in the chat room who highlighted it. And I've looked at it and said, oh my God, that's a great call. And we jumped all over it. And like I said, we made several 100% on that move.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes me extremely happy here. I'm someone that is constantly talking about the community, making it better for everybody. It sounds like that's exactly what they did for you as well.
Did I lose connection?
Okay. Sorry about that. Internet.
No, but I just say, you can be afraid of what's going on right now, or you could take advantage of it and embrace it.
That's right.
And we've been able to do that in the chat room. And if you're interested in joining, please give Rodrigo a call. It's been very, very good. We've most people are down this year, down quite a bit. We're up quite a bit. So it's been a good year.
Yeah, I can second that. I also threw a link in the chat. So if you want to trade along with Matt, you actually have a 7-day trial there. You can reach out to Rodrigo, the whole 9 yards. Okay, really good stuff. Matt, one of the things that is, at the forefront here is Apple, right? Apple, obviously, exposure here in China, both for making the phones as well as selling the phones. Now we're getting some news here that some chips might not be tariffed just like we thought. What's your outlook here on some of the tech stocks with Apple kind of being tech stocks with Apple kind of being the main one?
Well, this is definitely positive news for Apple, and it takes the worst case scenario off the table. I mean, in fact, there was a story on Bloomberg this weekend talking about that they were really at the cusp of having to make some drastic changes if this hadn't taken place. But it has. Again, this is another situation. It's paused for the stock. Last I saw, it was up about 6% today, and even more so off its lows from last week. The question now is going to be: is this going to be strong enough to really help the market do the stock go all the way back and reach its old highs? The key level I'm going to be looking at is 255. 225. Well, that was the high we reached in late March. Actually, it might have been the first day of April, but it's also Fibonacci 61.8% retracement of the entire decline. So that's a doubly important level. If we can break above that in a meaningful way, of course, if it gets a couple of pennies above it, that's not a big deal. And again, it doesn't have to happen today by any stretch of the imagination. But the next week or two, if that thing can push above that level, that's going to give a lot of people some relief. I mean, a lot more relief. My feeling is that level is going to be tough to break. And even if it does break it, I'm going to be fading it over intermediate term as we move into the summer. But no market moves on a straight line. And this is definitely good news. And some shorts were built up in this stock over the last 2 months. So you want to be careful about being too negative on, you want to be careful about making a negative bet on this stock too quickly. I think it's at a point later in the spring, it might be a good play, but not right now.
Okay, and just to be clear, that was 225 is that level.
225, right.
Okay, awesome, because 224 is your 50-day moving average. We recently just had a death cross here on Apple too.
Right.
We also have a volume point of control going back to last summer here at about 228. So that level pretty much right in the middle of it.
Range
Yeah.
is just that range is just a really, really, really important one.
Absolutely. Okay, good stuff there on Apple 13. You got anything for Matt here?
Oh, I was just kind of curious with a number of these Mag 7s that have been giving us death crosses recently. Do you think that these are going to be short-lived, or is this just the beginning of continued downside? Like, are we anticipating some further prints lower before we start seeing actual recovery?
You know, it's interesting because I was looking back at some of these previous death crosses, you know, because you always want to look to the left, right?
Right.
You look at a chart, what happened last time? For instance, the 200-day moving average is very important level for some stocks, but for other stocks, it's not so important. Same thing with death crosses and golden crosses. But it was interesting that on some of these names, the death cross actually took place when in 2022 when the stock was rallying. But again, it was only a short-term rally. So the death cross was actually a very good indicator within a week or so, and then the stock would roll back over, and then fell to another lower low. And I'm telling you, one of the things that I just talked about the resistance levels on any and all of these stocks, and for the major averages as well. We break below the April lows in any kind of meaningful way. That is going to be, I can't even tell you how negative that's. That's not going to be, we're going to dip into bear market territory. That's going to tell us that we're headed for 25 to 30% decline in the S&P before it's over. So that's kind of, I guess my point is that's the line in the sand. So watch those levels. But to answer your question, 13, the death cross, again, I do think it's compelling. But again, we've got to be careful about assuming it will be having an immediate impact because of some of this news. You know, again, the Trump administration did blink, and for good reason. There's a lot of turmoil in the bond market. You don't like to see that, but this doesn't seem like the kind of. I mean, it's not like the 20-year people, the 10-year Treasury note. It's one thing. Oh, repo markets. Hey, one bank's in trouble. The Treasury market's not going to collapse tomorrow. So once they kind of calm things down, we could see that thing roll back over. So, and I guess my point is the Trump put is not as aggressive as a Fed put, and may not remain that aggressive because once the bond market calms down, much like Lutnick and some of these other guys are saying, we might come in with some more tariffs at some point soon. And again, give us a double bogey by hitting the ball in the creek on 13.
That is so well done, Matt. We'll probably leave there on a high note. Really good stuff.
Thank you, Matt.
Great breakdown here. Do me a favor. I know we've got a truncated week here, so enjoy the Easter weekend here with your family.
And just one last thing to mention. Just remember, it's a short week. So remember, if your weekly options expire on Thursday, not Friday. So remember that. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize with VIX options, if you have puts or calls on the VIX, the VIX, those expire on Wednesday, but they expire Wednesday on the close. The last time you can trade them is Tuesday. So if you own options on the VIX that expire the 16th, your last time to trade them is the 15th. So be careful. Sometimes people wake up and say, oh, I never, and they wonder what the heck happened. So be careful with that because a lot of people have been playing the VIX lately. I just want to make sure your listeners and viewers realize that.
Yeah, no doubt. Really heads up move there. Matt, hitting it from all angles yet again. Really good stuff. Enjoy the rest of the week here and have a great Easter holiday with your family. All right.
You too, guys.
Thanks, all right. Matt. That is Matt Maley. Awesome stuff yet again here. And I'm telling you, his chat room is white hot right now. So if you're looking for some help, maybe that's the way to go there. We're grateful that Matt comes on and shares his expertise every week with us here. Okay, 13. What did I miss? Verve, look at this. Yep. Verve, where's Nadeem at? Where's Nadeem at? You were asking earlier, can this come back up to the VWAP? Yes, it can.
Yep. Verve, that's one. Folks are also mentioning the Webull stock, the IPO. We also got a mention on MP, asking if this is coming back. I'd say this has been coming back ever since we had a golden cross back in October last year. We ripped up to 24, came back in, got support from the 200, ripped higher. We're continuing to rip higher. I would think that $30 is potentially on the table. I just don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but it looks like 30 is potentially happening, especially with the news that's also driving TMC today. about the supply chain for critical minerals. MP is going to definitely be one of those. TMC another. That's why.
Sorry to interrupt you, but your trend line on Verve, we are testing it right now, and we're through.
Perfect.
Well, we're testing it right now. Here's your trend line here on Verve. We're at it and through.
Yeah. I'm showing a breakout. Yeah.
Bang. Yeah. So next here, then we really want to see some of this volume continue to expand. It's great that we've got this break. Maybe this is going to be the first profit target after the initial move that we were talking about, holding the 373 down here on the 65 EMA on the 5. Now that we've broken this, though, I gotta think next target up here at 444, maybe just call that 450, and then the pre-market high on deck here, 486, 450. 486. Those are your next upside targets here on Verve. We'll see if we go there. And by the way, Bull, B-U-L-L, halted to the upside here, 48.07. Massive move on Webull. Took out its pre-market highs by about $8 there. That stock is halted.
Verve might...
BRB 1 sec 13.
Yeah, Verve might back test the trend line first that we just broke over. I'm looking at the chart here, and we can see just before we opened in the pre-market, we were having a hard time recapturing that 425 to 430 area. Multiple attempts to recapture that. That was also where VWAP was in the pre-market. Couldn't get that. We dropped out of the open. We're back up to that same spot now. I think we could continue to get a little bit more rejection there, but if we don't break through this here and we back test the trend line and we get support from the trend line, not fall through it, I think that we may end up breaking up higher through that 425, 430 area on a successful back test of the trend line. So I think that's what I'd be watching for next with Verve to set up the next trade. At this stage, if you were picking up Verve when it was under VWAP, I think this is a great point to be selling some or all of that and just let the next setup happen. And I think that next setup is going to be in the form of what I was just mentioning about a rejection of that 425 to 430 on this move here. Back testing that trend line, and if this trend line holds, I think we're gonna the next move up to that 425, 430 area could be a breakout move. So we'll see if we end up getting that. No position in Verve for me. I'm having fun with the SQQQ right now.
Okay. My office assistant seemed to join me while I stepped away there. So here we go. All right, Verve is back testing the trend line, just like you said.
Did I say 30? I didn't mean 30. I meant 430, 425 to 430. I don't think I said 30 though. Did I say 30?
Well, I think that's why Learn with Moses is asking, because that would be shocking.
I said MP would probably be the one that sees 30. And if you look at a daily chart, you can see that how when we do come up towards that 30 handle, if you look to the left back from 2023 and 22, that was a pretty good resistance area. A lot of that consolidation you see there, a lot of it really starts to pick up at the 30 handle. There's more resistance levels on the way up, but $30 is, for me, is going to be the next big resistance area in NP. So it was NP I was saying. Okay, here we go with Verve. We got this back test of the trend line. So this is what we're going to want to see. Now, if we do hold this trend line here, this 5-minute candle closes, we get the next candles to continue to close above this trend line. As the price makes its way back up towards that 425 to 430 area, it should have a breakout there if this trend line holds. We need to see this trend line hold.
And I'm actually seeing this literally hold to the penny right at the VWAP. I've got VWAP here at 403. That is exactly where Verve is holding so far. Again, saying that when you get a move like this is going to be par for the course on any of these day traders that we're looking at. When you get some of this move, taking profit, never a bad idea here, getting at a first spot here on Verve. Again, this is going to need to hold 403. That is your VWAP here. Lion, take care of yourself.
Take care, Lion. And Izzy, I did say 13 on Verve, or I did say 30 on Verve. I'm sorry. I meant for 425 to 430 Verve and $30 MP. Lots of talking I did in that short span of time. I may have crossed some wires.
Is one candle closing above the trend line enough of a retest? Well, so retest here is the way I look at this is basically consolidation. So when I'm talking about candle closes, generally I like to see 3, and that is predominantly reserved for the daily chart. When we're looking at intraday here, the picture changes back and forth quite often. Right now, the way I look at this is testing the trend line. Sure, we moved above it quickly. Now we've moved below it a little bit, but we're still holding the VWAP. This test is still ongoing here. How we resolve from this area is going to determine whether or not this trend line acted as resistance or support. I'm not a stickler on the exact spot. I'm more concerned about an area and what price action does in that area. So far, though, this has moved above VWAP, tested the trend line, and so far is holding VWAP. So to me, the next step is going to be, do we break out from that trend line or do we break down from VWAP?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking at my broker's chart and I have the price still above the trend line, just barely.
And I eyeballed the trend line 13, so I might have drawn it a little bit differently. But again, this is kind of why I'm saying about an area instead of being a stickler to the per penny price.
The point that I was making earlier about Verve was that 390 level. And that's the level that we don't want to start closing beneath, because that was the support area that we've been getting ever since we broke over it around, just after 7:30. Broke over that 390 area, went up to 485, came back down, got support from that 390 area. We moved back up some more. Then we knifed through it at the open, and now we've recaptured it, using it as support once again. It has to hold if we're going to see more upside.
Now we've broken VWAP and broken beneath 4. We'll see where we stop here on Verve. So far, sure looks like it was rejected at that trend line test. Webull, by the way, 51 prints now. This just rocketed through 50. This thing's all over the map. Now it's pulling. You know what? I'm not even going to give the play-by-play on it. It is dancing right around 50 there. That's ticker BULL, one of the biggest movers here of the day.
Jonathan Cooper mentioning Stack, STAK.
USAR here. This is actually a pretty good mover too. This is USA Rare Earth. You can see this was actually up in the pre-market, little bit of a dip and rip here, looking like this is going to try and test 12.
Looks like Stack halted to the upside, and then it gapped up and ran up to 229 before we got this current candle we're in, where it's selling off, trying to get some support from VWAP. Thanks for bringing this one up. Also,
yeah, what does this one do? Yeah, good mention here, group. What does this one do? Did we have? Okay, we've got nothing fresh on the news wire here. Research, development, manufacturing, and sale of oil field specialized production and maintenance equipment. That is a mouthful. It designs and manufactures oil field specialized production and maintenance equipment, and also sells oil field specialized production and maintenance equipment components. Okay.
It's a lot of truck stuff, apparently.
Yeah, it's like a nuts and bolts thing.
Yeah. Well cleaning, wax removal, pumping, boilers, fracking.
Speaking of pumping, I don't necessarily see any news on this, so I wonder if this is just kind of, if it's just kind of getting found out there, maybe a room pump or something. I didn't see anything on the Twitter streets about this one either. NBIS, how we doing there? NBIS, I'll tell you what, I'm interested in this. If this can get back down to 17.5, 18, I'd be interested in taking another swing at this. NBIS. I know this thing, it was really got hit recently with some of those tariff headlines. How's Trade Desk doing? Boy, Trade Desk still finding some resistance at the trend line that we added here. I feel like these two trend lines that we put on here have really been holding up. We're getting down to a decision point here pretty soon. We're getting down to a decision point here. TTD, place your bets. We're either going to find some support here. What do we got? This at 44.5. We've got resistance right up here at the trend line that's at about 50, currently at 49.75. Look for the Trade Desk to make a move here soon. Lion took care. That's right. I can't remember. Was he looking for more downside on that? I can't remember. I'll ask him the next time he comes back. Trade Desk here, interesting though.
I think when we were looking at this recently, I think one of the questions was, where does this go? And I had that trend line there, and I thought this was going down to that trend line. We've tested that, bounced off of it, so that was great. I think if we want to see this recover, the next thing that has to happen is a recapture of that 20-day SMA.
Okay, let me see. What do I don't have that one on here. What's the value? What value do you have on that 20-day SMA?
53.62.
Okay, and that would mean that we also take out this trend line to the upside if we get that.
The lovely thing about the 20-day SMA is that since last month, it's been rejecting the price action attempts to recover. Every time it's done that. It's done it 3 separate, almost 4 different occasions where it's tried to recapture the 20-day SMA, been rejected every time.
Okay.
So we just got to recapture that. I think this continues to go sideways or lower.
PDD, this is higher. This actually made a run towards 100, couldn't quite get there. ONDS, after that upgrade, or was that an upgrade or an initiation? That was an initiation. So new coverage there by Lake Street. ONDS resolving to the upside here, 13+%. Let's get that dollar holla here. Come on.
Someone saying USAR boom.
Yeah, that was the US Minerals one here. US RAR, right?
Nice move just now, yeah. Nice spike over 12.
USAR is the ticker. Yeah, there we go. I screwed that up. Here you go. Right at that pre-market high.
Still waiting for the cues to do something. It's been more sideways than directional at the moment.
So it looks like that Blue Origin flight with the all-female crew is successful and lasted 10 minutes. Was that this morning? Am I late on this? Okay. Here we go. Here's really quickly. Here's a video of Jeff Bezos welcoming the crew back to Earth after their 10-minute, 21-second voyage in orbit. Boy, I bet that was cool. Mission is successful. And thankfully, I'm just glad that there were no problems. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see any problems here with the manned space flight, especially if they're non-professionals going for something like that. This is great to see. Great to see. Great to see. Okay. See what else we got here. Yeah, the Blue Origin sent a bunch of celebs and soon to be his wife, and they're back. Okay. Well, so he's still getting married then. That's good. So Bull, by the way, you had mentioned that had pulled off the highs. That's actually moving back towards the highs. Let's see if we got that ticker added to the feed yet.
It's kind of just consolidating right now.
No, yeah.
It's a lot of sideways action on some of these names. Looks like VKTX is still trying to curl. This might end up being better later today. It's really looking like it's trying to take its time on the recovery. But if this,
sorry, which one? I pull it up.
VKTX.
VKTX. Got it.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to establish a bottom here, and then recover. I think we'll have recovery in full swing once it gets back above VWAP.
You guys are. Let me see if I've got the sound bite still on the board here, real quick.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. It's Katy Perry was not up there to do any kind of space exploration whatsoever.
Okay. You guys are all cold-blooded here. I'll tell you what. Yeah. Did they leave Katy Perry up there? No. They didn't leave a human being behind. No, yeah, well, of course not.
It wouldn't be the first time
Katy Perry's staying in low Earth orbit.
No, it's because it wasn't on the ISS that she didn't get left behind.
You guys are, you folks are cold-blooded out there. We don't want to see anyone get harmed. Come on. We're not leaving anybody behind. Not leaving anybody behind. Come on.
Bilger is asking about Archer Aviation. Where's that at today?
Real quick, I'll go to Archer next here. TMC, though, looks good on the 5. Looks good on the 1. God, it looks good on the 15. Looks good on the daily. TMC shaping up here. All time frames looking pretty good. We'll see if this breaks out here. I'm really looking for the 250 break spot there. TMC. Sorry, now which one was that you wanted me to go to?
We had a request for Archer Aviation.
Oh, that's right. ACHR. Thank you.
It's looking like it's recovering, but I think if you look at this data, you might be able to point out the trend line starting with February 18th.
So we want to start it here and go down.
Yeah.
Got you. So we want to do the steep trend line, which is about this.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I see a much less steep trend line like
Do that one too.
this.
So after we get this steep trend line, the less steep one is likely going to be next, provided that the steep one provides support. We don't see any price action underneath that. You know what's super interesting? My 520 level almost came into play on a recent downturn on April 7th. So close to that. 520 has been a massive support and resistance level ever since this thing started trading back in 2021. So if we move up and away from here, then we're not going to get an actual touch of it, but it's a strong support area. Let's see if we can break that trend line, and in the process, the 20-day SMA. It's about the best case scenario at this stage for Archer right now.
Okay. Archer here actually flirting with its VWAP on the intraday. Izzy asking you for Lunar. Here's your LUNR chart. I got to be honest. I think the Head and Shoulders is fully resolved on this one. Maybe we're at a base here and we can maybe try and fill this gap up towards what 11 and a half. Really needs to get above that 950 area first. That 950 area actually goes back to 2024 too.
Maybe I'm trying to think of thinking about it. Might know if there's more NASA contracts coming Lunar's way, but I think that's going to be the upside for Lunar is if they get more contracts, because I don't know that they've received any more, since the second botched attempt to land on the moon. We still do have a landing in October. That's the next scheduled spacecraft flight and landing on the moon, but I don't know if they've gotten anything since then. So I think a upside move might be determined by that. Now, one thing that we can see here from the price action is that we're in a bit of a consolidation area. You could even draw a box from about, let's say, 950 to 620. And that's about where the consolidation is right now with this particular stock. This stock has also been very, very faithful to multiples of 5. So if you go and draw a horizontal line at 10, 15, 20, and 25, for some reason, this the price action really behaves really well with multiples of 5. I don't think this is going down to $5, but if we do break down out of this consolidation, that's support I'd be looking at to the downside. Alternatively, resistance is going to be $10 if we break out of this consolidation.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't say resistance is futile there like the activist judge. Okay, Bull, B-U-L-L, this is actually trying to break higher right now. 5118 is going to be your high print if it breaks this area. Have some spot here. What, $49? 49 looks to be the spot here on B-U-L-L. Izzy here saying, I heard cutbacks on space government expenditures. Not sure. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I don't think we know for sure.
I'd be surprised if that was the case, especially with the Trump administration talking about spending $1 trillion on their defense budget. A lot of that's going to end up going over into Space Force.
Space Force. I was going to say, can't you see him pumping Space Force up? He created that in term 1. So
he did, and he had 2 pivotal announcements during his first term. That was toward the beginning and end of his term regarding Space Force. The first came in December of his first year, and the last one came in December of his last year. So I would think that maybe by the end of this year, he could announce some other program. There's also been a very aggressive push by China and other countries to make their way into space, not just for commercial use, but for military use. So I think that cutting expenditures in space would be very silly in terms of national defense.
okay.
Looks like TQQQ is trying to get going here.
Oh, you know what? Thank you for the reminder. I took those off. I started looking at all this other stuff, and I forgot about them. This came back then. So that initial move lower was so far the best opportunity there in TQQQ.
Yeah, right
and
down
I was
to
waiting
50.
it out at that point. So
yeah, I'm waiting for it. I was waiting for it too. It's looking like it's starting to get some more strength here. So might not end up get down to that 457 on the Qs like we're looking for. But I'm not going to rule it out either. So if I'm going to start trading this and think that that's not going to happen, I'm going to start with very small, just in case it ends up still, going down to the 457 level. Yeah, but I think you're going to see a lot more defense spending go towards Space Force. It only makes sense to me. We're talking about building more ships.
Yep.
We're talking about doing all kinds of other stuff. I don't know that Trump's flagship department is going to, or military branch is going to not get funding in some capacity.
TTD here looks like this is so far trying to hold that 49.5. Again, I'd still watch this trend line here. TTD, ONDS, we're cooking over here, boys and gals. See if we can get ONDS back above $1 here. It's actually looking pretty good. Let's get back above $1, get several closes above $1, maybe a new contract PR there. That'd be pretty good there. 250 was the target price from Lake Street this morning. MB Master Beef. The jokes write themselves sometimes. THRD here. This was that trading higher on a liquidation, right? That's still holding here at 510.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd want to pick that up because there's not you'd be holding on to these shares until the third quarter when it's expected to close. Yeah, look at that.
Look at this trend line on Verve that you had me enter. It's almost like you knew what you were doing or something.
Well, we didn't get what we wanted out of this, but
we sure did.
Well, we got some of it, but we were also looking for a back test of the trend line so we could try and go higher. But I was also mentioning that if we didn't get that, we need to watch that 390, lost 390. So what comes next? Well, let's take a look here and see if we can get an idea of where we can. So it's coming off the 65 EMA, so there's that. That's encouraging. But if we're going to go higher and we're going to get back above this trend line, it's got to recapture the VWAP.
55 now on Bull Weeble. That is just absolute monster. That is going to be your stock du jour here. Weeble 55 up a whopping 303% on the day. Wowzers.
Does this go the way of all these other IPOs we've been observing, where they just continue to rip for multiple days? Is that what we're going to end up seeing here?
Jay was already asking you. Jay thinks this might be like NMAX. So here's the thing. Wait for the option chain. So when we were talking about NMAX, this was actually one of the things that I was saying, hey, I don't think that shorting it right, because we knew NMAX wasn't worth what the price tag was showing us right after IPO. But I had said I'm not sure shorting it is the greatest idea here because these things seem to have a mind of their own. Might be better off to wait for the option chain. Jay, I'm with you 110% here. It is worth noting that NMAX actually started selling off prior to that options chain. But if you're going to try and get exposure to this without just really adding a whole bunch of risk, I think Jay's exactly right. Get your risk, wait for the option chain, get your risk defined ahead of the trade, expose yourself that way to the downside if that's the way that you think this is going to go. I'm not even going to try shorting Bull here. I'll check every day for these options, Jay. Stay on top of me if I forget.
It'll just be like Pony. You take a look at that because I forgot.
I was going to say, Jay's bringing one back from the archive here. Pony AI. What did that do?
Not great.
Not great.
Yeah, it was, let's see, 2 months ago, it was trading at over $23. Now it's trading just under $6.
Real quick here, CA Forsman, Chris mentioning that the market is strengthening up here. I will say we're not like ripping higher. We're not taking the next leg yet, but the market does seem to be kind of firming here. The Qs look the same. I know the Qs pulled initially, but that's right back up here near the high end of the range. Same with the SPY. See if we get another leg here on the broader market.
I think I'm just going to, keep positions light and temper expectations. I don't think I've got enough information here to be confident of a direction that we're headed.
So what I'm looking at here as far as trades go, as far as new trades go, none of what's happening today is affecting my longer term trades. But as far as my new trades here, if we hold strong here, but we really don't take the next leg up, I actually might take a stab at a short-term pullback here. And just kind of looking at the chart on the SPY, we're kind of running up to this trend line here. We can't get above that. We can't get above some of these highs. We can't break into that gap. maybe I'll take a regression back to the mean trade here. Market here, SPY's still up 1.62%. Breath green across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, Nice, all green. So I got no. I'll tell you what. I've really 13. My directional calls using options have been fairly easy because I've tried to be patient. I haven't been taking positions right at the open where I end up getting head faked into oblivion. And then on top of that, I'm also using smaller option positions where my risk doesn't feel completely out of control, and holding it overnight, it really isn't a problem there. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job with that. So what I'd be looking at here, unless this can really make a power move, I'd be looking at maybe a move to the downside here. If we can't get above, what is this level that I have here on this trend line? What, 445? Yeah, 445. The other thing here, just looking at person's pivots here, excuse me, all these 5s and 4s are really screwing me up. 546.51 is one of your pivots today that we have not been able to test yet. We are above the resistance pivot 1. That is going to be right at 440.22. The next one here is, 540.22. The next one here is 546.51. I'm sorry, folks. I have not been accurate with my numbers here today.
It's all good. This
I'm
market's
trying,
all over
man.
the place, and so are we.
I'm trying. 2% better every day. That much I can promise you.
Eventually, you get to 100. Meanwhile, Smoke Tuna mentioning ELPH is cooking. CA Forsman says CRML is worth watching. Caleb saying kids, KIDZ.
Yeah.
And
Kids here, that's class over holdings. That was trading higher because the company announced an official trademark registration for the class over mark. I don't know why that caused it to pop. We are back at VWAP here off the bottom, though. Kids, KIDZ.
CA Forsman was trading AMD.
Someone else was. John, were you on AMD earlier? That was a nice move. Right, it's Monday. Indeed it is, Brett. Indeed it is. We're going to be locked in by Thursday.
Yeah, AMD, kind of trading down into a falling wedge, which is, it's ultimately bullish. Just need to see, a breakout of this falling wedge, and hey, we could be off. Ryan's back on the pineapple.
What?
That's what Wisdom's saying.
Oh, Wisdom's having a joke with me there.
Oh, okay.
No, I would be taking Benadryl if I had consumed pineapple.
Well, let's see here. What's looking? I need to take a look at some of these other names that you guys are dropping in the chat here. What was one of them? CRML. Let me take a look at that. What's that doing? Oh, it's Critical Minerals Corp. Okay. This one also with a trend break as well. Start with that high in the pre-market, draw it through the high we just got before the open, and that is a nice breakout over that trend line.
Wisdom, by the way, I think you had asked this earlier, and I was caught up in the hubbub and I missed it. You were asking about the thing that you sent. Did you use AI to make that song about our show last week? It was nice. It was nice. Ryan only eats pineapple on pizza. Dude, STFU.
Wow.
Listen to your namesake and STFU, please. Come on now. By the way, the picture that Izzy sent me of the first time pineapple was ever put on pizza, and it's like the guy holding another guy's head and he looks mortified. That's like my reaction every time I see it. Izzy, that was something else. I'll keep that forever. It's Monday. I'm excused. Okay. Hey, Gaslit Circus Con, 100% better in 50 days ain't bad, Ryan. We will keep looking up. We will keep trying to get better.
Whole 9 yards. I'm not seeing the 3 white soldiers you're talking about in a 15-minute chart. I just see a big ass tall guy ripping the 8. That's a technical term. Big ass tall guy.
WTF. That was that crazy IPO. Gotcha.
Yeah, big ass tall guy. That's the term we're going with here for this move.
Producers asking, does anyone eat pizza like Trump, crust first? Does he actually eat pizza crust first? Because that's big if true. I will say, I remember way back in the day when stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut first came out. You remember that too?
Those commercials, they
Remember
would turn around and make
and so there was, I will say, I was a kid at that time, so I did a bunch of dumb shit. But there was one point where we got a stuffed crust pizza, and I was like, I'm going to try this. It's terrible. It's terrible. Why you would want to not have that piece of crust to like really get a good hold of your slice? Like at that point, you might as well eat it with a knife and fork.
Yeah, I turned it right back around.
If Trump eats his pizza backwards, I might change my vote.
Does he also eat his burrito sideways?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to tell some jokes here, but man, that would be something. That would be eating pizza backwards is, oh my God.
Jeez.
You dug one up from the archive, producer. Oh
I mean, I don't know if we were really expecting anything else with the guy that eats steak with ketchup.
I mean, so you know who else does that? Dan Orlovsky of ESPN says that it's perfectly acceptable to put ketchup on a filet mignon.
No, it's not.
Thank you. I mean, when I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, that's disrespectful to the cow. I said it.
Sean here saying in the Southern Hemisphere, they all eat the pizza crust first. What a startling turn of events.
Is that how they eat like apple pie as well? I'm being a jerk. Sorry.
Jay Rice, I eat my Snickers with a knife and fork. Oh man, that is a Seinfeld classic right there.
Yeah, when I eat a hot dog, I bite the middle.
All right.
We're getting a little crazy now.
I mean, look, it's. I blame myself. Okay, I blame myself.
Back to the markets.
And get ready, folks. We've got another ticker doppelganger here. MTSR. No, not MSTR, but MTSR here. Met Sarah. This is actually popping. Is this on news? What's going on with this one? Nope, doesn't look like anything's going on here. What does this company even do? Clinical stage biotech company that's pre-revenue with a $20 price tag. Wow.
Based on what? Their
next generation injectable and oral nutrient stimulated hormones. Analog peptides to treat obesity, overweight. Okay, wow. So this actually might be another one to kind of keep on your radar. I don't know anything about this. Let me actually mark this off. I might read about this one when I've got some free time. Hang on.
That's a massive short interest.
Yeah. Let me do this here real quick. What is that short interest, by the way?
53.5%.
Oh my.
That might be it. It looks like you're going to get it. This thing's
my
consistently hammering 1950. If you look at a smaller time frame, so if you go to like the 5 minute, 2 attempts to get to print and hold above 1950. Once rejected, twice rejected. But we keep making lower lows. So this is kind of, trading up into an ascending triangle. I'd have to think that 1950 is a bit of a breakout spot here with this one. If we continue if we get some more volume to help push this up higher, I think you might see the upside of 1950 there.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of reading on this one. That's interesting though.
You know what else might be going on with this too is the anagrams mix up. When you're talking about MicroStrategy or strategy,
now,
this has the same letters.
Yeah, now, so that's interesting because that's actually a real thing. Now, MicroStrategy here is up 4.3%. Remember, we had news this morning about MicroStrategy possibly buying more Bitcoin for its treasury after a week-long pause here today. Bitcoin, by the way, 85, almost 86,000 on the futures chart. My order's still unfilled, by the way, on Bitcoin. So I'm hoping Bitcoin rolls over here. Bitcoin higher today, up 2+%. MicroStrategy higher here today, up 4+%. Real quickly, James saying salt and pepper is about all for me. James, this is one of the most accurate statements we've seen on here. Salt and pepper, the two best seasonings of all time. And in a lot of cases, especially for a steak, sometimes that's all you need, my man. I am with you on that. Izzy reminding us that Mahomes puts ketchup on all his steaks. Guys worth $500 million, he's throwing ketchup out there. I don't know. That's all right. Oh, and then here's another thing. So, Brett, this is what I wanted to cover here real quick. How much time do we have? 12 minutes? We got plenty of time. Brett saying, isn't pizza a religion in Chicago? The answer here is yes. Undoubtedly, the answer here is yes. I love pizza. It is easily my favorite food. Chicago's amazing for it. But here's the one thing that people don't get. Everyone knows about Chicago deep dish pizza. Some people hate it. Some people like it. I'll let you folks decide. But there's another type of pizza called tavern style pizza that's extremely popular here. And it seems that only Chicago locals know about it. It is super, super thin, crispy pizza that's cut into squares. So I know New York gets all of the credit for the thin crust pizza, but keep in mind, Chicago is actually known for two different types of pizza.
Two different extremes, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You go
definitely.
really deep or super thin.
That's right. You're exactly right on that. You're exactly right on that. Okay. MicroStrategy. Okay. The MSD acquired 3,000. Okay. So was that today? 3,459 Bitcoins for roughly $285.8 million. Yep. We got it. That was it. We got the news that we were anticipating. That is one of the reasons MicroStrategy is up almost 5% now. Really good stuff there. Really good stuff, Jonathan.
Burgers are steaks in theory? No, because steaks aren't ground up. Burgers are.
Oh.
Unless you're actually having a steak burger, then we're talking something different.
Okay.
Even in that case, I don't know that I'd be necessarily putting ketchup on that. Maybe if it was like a top round or like a cheaper cut, then I guess you could be forgiven for that. If you get what I'm saying. But you're talking filet mignons, ribeyes, the really high quality pieces of the meat.
Salt and pepper, dude.
That
Salt
ketchup
and
better
pepper
come
and
with more than that.
Like a
ketchup.
compound butter. Like that's like, well, I wouldn't even waste time with ketchup. That's it. All right. Izzy just sent me a picture. Folks, I'm not trying to make anyone jealous here. Not trying to make anyone jealous, but we are going to live vicariously through one of our chat members here, Izzy, on perhaps one of the most beautiful beaches we've seen sometime. This is Izzy's view right now. Got his laptop out, trading stocks, looking at a beach that looks like this. Izzy, I'll tell you what, man. Looks like you're doing things right now. That is pretty sick. Enjoy your vacation. Appreciate you spending some of your vacation with us. That's a comment on how great the show is, right? Some of these folks go on vacation. They still spend some time with us. Izzy, namaste, bro, right from the heart.
Yeah, you need a watermark on there that says, this picture brought to you by Amazon.
That would have ruined it.
No. Because, he killed it in Amazon. So
oh, that's okay. Oh, gotcha. That view's from Punta Cana, by the way. Nice. Okay.
TQQQ is starting to come up a little bit more now.
I'm addicted to you guys. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but bring it on. We're here for it. We are here for it.
Hold beer on what? Wisdom, you got to explain yourself, man. I don't want beer and ketchup. Unless you're telling me, I don't know what you're saying. Actually.
By the way, that KIDZ rejected at the VWAP, that one really would need to get above it. The TMC, that looked good on all of those time frames here. That is still holding higher, but not moving higher here. Now, ONDS appearing on the relative volume scanner. So now this becomes a relative volume play. Tell you what I'd really like, just as kind of an aside, let's get this thing back above $1 here today. You got pretty good news from an upgrade. Let's announce another contract tomorrow or maybe later this week. See if we can't build a fire here, ONDS.
CRML doing more of what I was looking for Verve to do. This
CRML.
Yeah,
this
is critical minerals. So
yep,
seeing a lot of critical mineral companies move today. This one had a trend line. It broke out of it back at 1040, got a little bit of altitude, came back in. Now we're back testing it. So this is more along the lines of what I wanted to see Verve do. The only other step here is for this to move away from the trend line after a brief test, but the volume is very low. Not sure if we'll end up getting all of that, but this is more along the lines of what I was looking for with Verve. Verve, on the other hand, we broke out, came back in, kind of went sideways over this trend line now, but we're still above VWAP. This may end up having, more upside, but not with this volume. We really need to see some volume return to these movers because they are going away.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that trend line was so. Nadeem, you were asking earlier about some specifics in terms of closing above the trend line. So that might be something to consider here, right? The trend, maybe we should consider that the trend is not fully broken until you do get those closing candles, right? Instead, we basically had a test of this trend line twice now. Both times we've been unable to get above it. And the other thing here is that this initial move off of that 65 EMA that we talked about, that actually had a corresponding expanding volume move too. Even still not strong enough to get us above that trend line. So that might be something we take a look at here going forward. Okay, we'll monitor the test of the trend line and then whether or not we actually get closing candles above that trend line. ONDS is moving here, giddy up. Let's get above $1. I'll love that here today.
Wisdom, they wouldn't be holding my beer. They'd be wearing my beer if they tried to do that. How about that? The whole 9 yards mentioning WTF. That's making some moves, it looks like.
Yeah. That's that crazy recent IPO here. Yep, we're going to get crazy again on accompanying volume here too.
Yep, 840 now the new high. Stack, that one was also getting mentioned, STAK. That went up to 229. Had a really bad time over the course of 20 minutes, bringing it down to 144. Now it's trying to get back up to VWAP and recapture it.
Tom is saying Trump is set to speak in 10 minutes. If so, which way will the market go? Tom, I mean, flip a coin, bro. What's he talking about? Does anyone know? I'll be honest. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm just so giddy and excited here today. I have not taken a look at Trump's calendar and figured out or tried to figure out what he's going to do here today.
Isn't the El Salvador president going to be there?
Is that happening today? I can't remember. You know better than I do. Tom, I don't know which way the market's going to go. Head on a swivel, though. Be ready. The one other thing to keep in mind prior to this happening here, let's take a quick look at levels here on SPY. We had talked about this trend line here really kind of being a spot it wants to break above. I think I had that at 445? Yeah. So we're currently sitting here 443. We really haven't done anything. I understand that we gapped up, but we really haven't had the strength to move higher here. If I zoom in, you can see we actually did try to go higher when we couldn't yet. Your guess is as good as mine what the next move is here.
One thing that Trump may also speak on when he talks soon is what the decision on Iran might be. He might be covering something on that. So keep your ears open for that. I don't know how it's going to move markets. Could move oil maybe. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen or what he's going to say. But I think that something regarding Iran could get mentioned. Yeah. So other than that, it's likely going to be the El Salvador president visiting, and they're probably going to take some questions, say some things. But I think the big thing to keep an ear open for is what he says about Iran, if he says anything at all. All right. I don't know about bull at this stage. This looks like this wants to come back down now. MACD is looking like it's about to cross to the downside. Could be getting a little bit of a bearish pattern here on the intraday chart. I bet if we looked at a 1 minute, it might give us, this looks a little bit like a head and shoulders on the 1 minute for bull. I think I'd be careful with bull at this stage.
Yeah, Pete here saying El Salvador president is visiting, likely to be nothing. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. I'm not sure what would move the market wise. There'd probably be a lot of glad handing in that. Trump aide Hassett teases amazing tariff deals offer, says recession 100% not happening. Pete, I'll say this. Anytime someone says 100%, I don't care if it's on this side or the other side or what have you. 100% calls scare me. There's no getting around that. I would have preferred he didn't say that. And those amazing tariff deals, well, let's see them. Right? I think we're at the point now. Let's see when they start crossing how amazing they actually are. Something to consider, though, if you're trying to trade it.
It might be scary if he says 100% the sun's coming up tomorrow because, oh, man, can you imagine?
Well, if he's okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time, dude.
I know. I know.
CRML. This is still in the process of resolving, looking much like a much better resolution after a move over this trend line than Verve was. Just needs to finish this move by getting over 250 and I guess going up. If this went to 3, that'd be great, but I don't know if this is going to go much further beyond 260 after a breakout. So we'll see.
Tom saying the press conference is to call everybody out and say that the eating pizza the correct way is crust first. Oh, good heavens!
If he
Good
shows
heavens.
up with a pizza and he's going to eat it backwards and it's got pineapple on it, I think I'll be done watching TV today.
Yeah, I will have to. I might even throw my remote. I mean, look, we're not even going to go. We're going to stay in the realm of seriousness here real quick. Okay, 2 minutes here till we're done. Bitcoin is off of the highs. It did, at least on the futures chart, it did cross 86K. It's come off those highs, but it's not actually breaking down. It's doing a good job of holding there. VIX, this is notable. VIX, after those 50 prints last week, VIX melted down here at 30. So it's not like, maybe melted's the wrong word. It is lower here. We'll see where that ends up settling on the VIX.
Also, just keep MTSR, the Metsera name, on your radar. This is the high short interest one. Still think that it's kind of trading up into a ascending triangle. We're looking for that break over 1950. So we'll see if we end up getting that. If this starts to drift underneath $18, maybe that doesn't happen.
Okay. We're about done here. Jay Rice, Ryan, I'm going through interesting take on tariffs. May not be the shit show you think. I don't think it is. I don't claim to know what's going on, but I don't necessarily think it's a shit show. I reserve the right to change my opinion and see how it all works out. Send it over to me. I'm interested in reading that. 13, land this plane. Any closing words for our group here?
Hey, folks, this has been a fun morning, but it's not looking like the volume's really there in a lot of these names, or we're not getting some follow through in a lot of these stocks. So maybe just another one of these directional ETF days. Just, do whatever it takes to just not get into something that you might regret later. Some of these names just don't look that great, but trade whatever you are going to trade. Just make sure you protect yourselves so that you can come back here tomorrow and we'll trade some more. And I'll see you then. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Remember, folks, pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. That is your tip of the day here. We're going to send you over to Trader Bacon. Bacon does belong on pizza. See what I did there? We're going to send you over to Trader Bacon next. Here's Rory and his green jacket waving goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.